What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Around the A Atlanta Sports Podcast. Blake Newsom and Mike and Neil here with you guys for yet another episode. Try to get Connor on the show with us this time around. Things did not go according to plan, unfortunately. We hope to have him back, or Dylan, one of the two, for the next episode to talk more about Georgia and Georgia Tech. Of course, their seasons have gotten underway. We're coming to you guys on the evening of September 7th, 2023. We meant to record last week, put it that way. I had a trip out to Colorado. Micah got busy with his classes. He's starting up at Jackson State, and I had stuff going on. I went out to Colorado to go see the Braves play at Coors Field. Had an amazing time. I'll talk about that a little while later in the show. But sorry for that, guys. We're trying to get our episodes shorter. We promise. The more consistent we get, the less we have to talk about, the more experience we get as a team, and we try to not have these episodes be 2 hours. But as of right now, it's a bi-weekly thing. We're trying not to miss a lot of information. So sorry if the episodes are running long. We promise you guys that won't be a thing forever, and we do appreciate your support nonetheless. But enough about behind the scenes stuff. Here to talk some sports with you guys. But yeah, let's get into it. Micah, first of all, how you been, man? It's been a little bit.
I've been good, man. Good. Finally settled in with college. Meeting new people, making friends, and been having fun. Adapting to, you know, being out here. I've lived in
Mhm.
Georgia, but now I'm in Alabama now. So that was a little bit of you know, it's a little bit of a change, but like I said, I'm adapting now, and college been fun, and classes has been classes, and I'm doing good in classes now. So right now, so
Good,
I
yeah,
hope it
yeah,
stay that way.
yeah. Good point to make. How's it like not having any classes on Friday? You lucky dog.
The first week, we had a class in person, and then I went to the class the second week, and apparently I guess he told them before I got there that we don't have class in person on Fridays. So I was just sitting in there with it was a whole bunch of other people too, so it wasn't just me. And then he told us that Monday, he's like, "Yeah, we don't have class on Friday, so y'all don't have to come." And I was like, "You don't have to tell me twice."
Yeah, I mean you're paying for it anyway, right? So you know, pay for you to not be there. You're paying for free time, but I guess it's a little redundant. But we get things along. But yeah, good to hear from you, man. I've been all right. As I said, came back from Denver. Have another high school football game for my alma mater, Lassiter. For those that are wondering, to call tomorrow night as we're recording on the September 9th. Of course, we're recording on the evening of the 8th, really the AM hour. So I guess I am doing a game on the 8th. That would make a little bit more sense. But yeah, I'm excited. I got to finish my prep after this, after we wrap up our show, and hopefully you guys see this show the day it releases on Saturday. If you see it a little afterwards, that's okay too. We appreciate your view. But this will probably be about a football heavy show.
Mhm.
It's the month of September. We missed a little bit. We want to go over some things. We're gonna pretty much cut some of the Braves series out. Not a lot of Hawks information's gone on. We'll talk about them at the very end of the show for those that are wondering. United, Dream, all that the same. But this is mostly going to be talking about the Falcons regular season. Um, Not really any point to talk about the Bengals or the Steelers games at this point. They're so far in the past. We did like what we saw from the Bengals game. Steelers not so much. I'm a little surprised Tomlin kept in the starters against our third stringers, but you live and you learn. That's how the Steelers go 9-8 every year. Shots fired. Woohoo! I guess I'd rather go 9-8 than 7-10, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, excited for this Sunday, and let's just get into it, man. Like, we'll talk about college, of course, as well. But let's start it off, man. Sunday afternoon, man. I have not been this amped for a Falcons game in years. Like maybe there's been a year or two. Like I don't know, 2020, I was a little false hyped because there was like no sports going on. I was like, yeah, the Falcons are probably gonna be good this year. We won 4 games. But like this is the first time I feel like as a realistic fan, I am super hyped for our week 1 game. I really think this is going to be an amazing game. And I just want this game to get here ASAP. I can watch the Braves tomorrow and Saturday. I got college game Saturday. I got a game to call at the high school level tomorrow. I want to watch my Falcons, Micah. Like, let's just
Mhm.
dive into it, bro. Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern. Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders, and that whole nasty Carolina Panther bunch. comes down home to see their fathers, aka the Atlanta Falcons. That's gonna, if we lose, that's gonna be clipped. Hooray! To face us with Calais Campbell, Jesse Bates, Drake London, and the whole shebang. And this
Mhm.
is a really, really important week one game to get over the hump for so many different things. And it just feels like this team, man, we've talked about it all offseason. We've ignored the haters as much as we can, all the naysayers. This team has hope, man. You can see it with my facial expression, the way I can't control my hand movements. Like it's just, I'm oozing with excitement for this weekend, man. Tell me how you're feeling. Where you're at? I see the background. I see the Julio jersey. Of course, I got on the hat. Tell me what's going on through Mike and Neil's mind regarding his Dirty Birds right now. I am
Man,
spazzing on the camera. Holy.
I'm so hyped, man. Like you said, we haven't had this excitement for Falcons football in a while, and we got a team that we be a good team. Like you can't contain your excitement. I can't contain my excitement. I'm ready. I'm just ready for that first kick. You see the Benz full of fans, full of
Hopefully.
life again. I'm just ready for it.
Hopefully they're full, right? But
Hopefully.
I think Arthur Smith said it. He said, I want it to be a college like atmosphere. I want our fans to be drunk. I want them to be crazy. I want them to be loud. On third downs, I need to hear them. And that hopefully doesn't
Yep.
mean we hear, let's go, Panthers, in the fourth quarter like we did last year, outnumbered by. They have a small fan base, too, and the way they just come down and outnumber us every couple years is just embarrassing. But hopefully that's
Hopefully,
not the
because we
case.
got in the past years.
Yeah, yeah, and that's more of a it was a Dan Quinn carryover effect, right? This is not Arthur Smith's fault, right? Right. But yeah, man, I'm super excited. I know we'll talk about like the X's and O's of each game here in a little bit. We'll dive into this Panthers game specifically. Like as you know, man, the Falcons haven't been over 500 in like over 1,000 calendar days. It's been since pretty much December, maybe January of 2017, December of 20. Yeah, I guess it was December of 2017. That entire season they finished at what 10-6. And then they beat the Rams in that wild card round. But that is the last time this Falcons team has been officially over 500. And granted, there's been some years where we didn't really expect to. Like 2020, the team was terrible. 2019 was pretty much the injury riddled. 2021, we basically had to start with nothing because of what Terry and Dan left this team. But yeah, I'm very excited for Sunday. Like, is there a world where we choke and lose? Yeah, it's the Falcons. But I'm just, as you said, Mike, I'm trying to keep it to where like that's the last regime. I'm super
Hmm.
hyped, but like, we got to talk about it just as realists here, right? I'm sure you've seen the stat. Rookie quarterbacks, first overall rookie quarterbacks in the last 20 years, right, are 0,
Hmm.
13, and 1 in their first ever starts in the NFL. Doesn't that seem like a streak that the Atlanta Falcons would like to, for some reason, end?
If anybody, it'd be the Falcons.
And then another little worrisome tidbit I've heard is that this seems like such a game where we're gonna go into halftime like up 17-3. We're gonna be cruising. Dez has played a clean game. We're gonna have 4 sacks. We're gonna be talking all types of shit on the social media, specifically Twitter. And it's gonna be haywire. And then that second half's gonna hit, and Bryce Young's gonna get a little bit of experience under that belt, and he's gonna make some crazy plays. Not even some regular plays where he evades somebody out of the pocket, finds an open guy downfield, meaning that we still were down a couple corners to start the season, and we're gonna find a way to lose the game, and we're gonna leave the stadium feeling like the same old Falcons, like God, same old team. Because you look at the schedule, the Saints are probably winning Sunday. They face the Titans at home. Say what you want about that
Hmm.
team, it's probably still better than especially because as of right now, Michael Thomas is healthy. They're probably going to handle business against the Titans. The Bucks, I'm not so sure. I don't really think we have to worry about them in the long run. We face with the Panthers, but we really got to start over 500 because if you look at our next coming games, we'll talk about it in a little bit. We have like our toughest stretch of the season really to start the year. And maybe that's weird because teams in September aren't always what they are in December. But then you have like pretty much wild card toss up games, hosting the Packers, going at Detroit, and then going across the pond to see Trevor Lawrence and company. There's a world where the Falcons lose all 3 of those games because we don't know. The Lions, ironically won tonight against the Super Bowl champions. Maybe did they miss Chris Jones and Travis Kelsey and Eric Bieniemy not being there? Maybe it cost Andy Reid with some of the decisions towards the end. Could the Chiefs have won that game? Yes, but the line, credit to Detroit, they won, and we see them in 2 weeks. So that'll be a real test because I think that it's probably going to be between them and Minnesota, really close for the North this year. Another division that's people talk about how bad the NFC South is. I think people are underrating how much of a wild card the entire NFC North division is too, with Jordan Love and with Justin Fields. Does he have it put together finally? And will the Vikings do it again? Will they come back down to earth? Will Dan Campbell's team do it? Like the NFC is just so wide open, man. We're in the mix, but yeah, before we move on to, college football for the meantime, we'll come back to Falcons in a little bit. Just take the floor and say whatever, else is on your mind regarding, this Sunday, everything regarding, your excitement, your not so excitement, I've rambled for a minute. Now it's your turn, brother.
And like you said, this is a new year, and we're gonna leave the past in the past, and we expecting this is the culture change now. Arthur has his team, Terry has his team. This is a team they've built. And I don't see them being done building this team, but as of right now, this is a team they've built, and this is where the change is going to start. And I'm expecting the Falcons to reach the playoffs this year, and um, we have a good team to start off with this Sunday with the Panthers, and with them having a rookie quarterback. Could be a game for us to build our momentum, and that's gonna help the fans get back in the arena. That's gonna help the energy continue to rise in the Falcons locker room, and like he feel like he finally has a real football team in Atlanta, and that should make a whole bunch of Falcons fans happy. And I know it makes me happy. It makes me excited, and like I said, it's hard for me to contain my excitement right now. I'm just ready for that first kickoff in the bins on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Were you excited for the first kickoff in the Benz last Sunday, being it was the Saints? Because we know how that ended and we know how it started. I got to ask, what were your excitements going into that game, if you can recall correctly?
Well, last year I think I was leaving, or I was still in church, one of them, so I didn't see the opening kickoff. But with me being at college is this year, I'm definitely gonna see the opening kickoff. Um, it start well. I'm in Alabama, so the kickoff started at 12 here. So, yeah,
Mhm.
um, I'm gonna be able to see the
Time, yeah.
kickoff this year, and I'm ready. Like I can't say it enough. I'm ready, man.
But I gotta ask you, like last year, because I'm sure, like we knew we weren't gonna be that good last year, but like regardless of the records, we always want to beat the Saints, especially at home. I just to get it out of the way. How were you feeling going into that game, especially coming home? You saw we were up like 20-10. We built on that lead at one point. Like take me through kind of how those couple hours went for you then, and then kind of relate it to the expectations we have this year, so we know what to avoid.
I remember driving back home. I was rushing back to get home. I seen we was playing good. We had a good lead. Grady Jarrett was getting sacks. The defense was looking good. They was getting sacks,
4 sacks
and
in the first 3 quarters. Yep.
yeah,
Wow.
and I was loving it. I was saying, Falcons have a defense. We back. Like the Falcons defense back, and then that second half hit,
Really, it was the fourth
and
quarter. It was like the 8 minute mark. That's when it hit.
yep,
Not even the third quarter.
yep, really, yep. And I remember sitting in my living room. Uh, Jameis Winston to Jarvis Landry, and I knew the game was over at that point. I'm just like I said, I'm hoping they do that in the past. It's a new team. We don't have to worry about them blowing leads. We don't have to worry about them choking. We could be comfortable with a lead going into the second half, and comfortable with a lead going into the fourth quarter. Hopefully, it could be like that for us this year because us Falcons fans have been through so much, and we want a competent team this year
Are you
and
sure about
going
that?
forward.
Are you sure we can be comfortable?
I'm hoping.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's why we poached the Saints, right? That's why we went out there and we got Nielsen, that we got Anyamata, we got Ellis, we got Greenridge and a couple other practice squad members. Like we poached. I don't think we really poached anything from Carolina. If anything, they poached us, taking some players. But yeah, I mean that's the way we start. Because the Saints were terrible last year, and we couldn't find a way to beat them. Um, and one last question before we get into college football here. You know that how like Falcons fans are traumatized by when the second half starts. It's like gulp. Here we go. Or when we're up in the fourth quarter, it's like, ugh. When's it gonna happen? By it, you know exactly what I mean, and all the Falcon viewers, you know exactly what I mean by it as well. But do you think a lot of that has carried over to Braves fandom with all the blown saves they've had over the years? Being like, oh, we're winning in the ninth inning. Like, can we trust it? Like any other team, it's like, oh, we're winning in the ninth. But with the Falcons winning in the fourth quarter and the Braves winning in the ninth inning, even the Hawks sometimes, do you think this team's traumatic effect has poured over into other sports that we support?
Definitely all Atlanta teams. Like he just the Falcons traumatized us so much that we just us being all Atlanta fans, we just can't be comfortable with the Atlanta team having a lead, and it's not even Atlanta fans realizing that. That's the whole avid sports fans. They 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 also don't trust Atlanta with leads, and it's sad. But like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. I hope we leave that in the past.
Yeah, we have won four
And
state championships the last 6 years, so on a good pace for that. But it's time for these guys to take the next step and surely leave that in the past. But let's talk about some teams that have won championships as of recently. Uh, Georgia Tech, not so much, but your Bulldogs as well, Micah. Fortunately, Connor couldn't make it on with us this time to talk about Tech, so I'll do justice as best as I can as someone who to get a chance to watch most of their Week 1 game against Louisville. We'll start with UGA. Of course, they took on the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks. Whatever, Brock Bowers got in the end zone. Carson Beck could have looked a little bit better as a non-Georgia fan. I do understand that, but you got to remember he's a freshman. He's coming into a brand new offense. They were missing Lad McConkey. He's a huge part of it. Mike Bobo it's his first game back as coordinator, and Georgia fans tell me all the time, I hated Mike Bobo and his stint as offensive coordinator. I'm like, the dude that was putting up 44 points a game with Aaron Murray, that guy you hate. Because you put up 44 points a game with Kirby's defense, you're going to win some more titles. I tell you that much with the 5-star talent. But I just don't understand the hate that Mike Bobo had back in the day. Maybe it's some of the vanilla play calls he's had. Some people didn't like all the isolation run plays and the 3rd and 7, not going to play action. But that's kind of where Todd Monken was a lot too. The Georgia offense, the last couple of years, wasn't really anything crazy. You saw a lot of isolation run. You saw a lot of tight end screen usage with Brock, with Darnell, with Eric Gilbert, the little time he did play on the field. You saw some scrambling from Bennett, which I guess they're going to try to create with Beck or with Vandergriff, whoever is the guy later down the season. As of right now, Beck. But I just don't understand the crazy overreaction Georgia fans had about Mike Bobo getting the job back and what he did on Saturday. Because push comes to shove, you're still up 3 scores at halftime. You still won by 48 or 41, 48-7, a final score. Brock Bowers looked good. I mean, pretty much everything you wanted to see looked good. Like, maybe Georgia didn't get quite up for this game as much as they did the last 2 years, being it was Oregon and Clemson. And maybe there's a world where they were facing Oregon and Clemson. They get crapped on. But we're in reality here. We don't have to worry about that. And as a Georgia fan, Micah, just take me through everything from Carson Beck to the final score, like everything I've just went over. Tell me where I'm right and where I'm wrong.
I mean, me personally, I wasn't feeling too hot about Carson Beck's performance. Was it good enough to beat Tennessee Martin? Yes, but like my assessment was like I'm not worried about those type of teams because we're expected to beat those teams and by a lot. But when it comes to playing the bigger teams when we get to the playoffs, um will that performance cut it? And I personally don't think it will. He was missing some easy passes that he should have completed, and um I think Kirby holds him to a higher standard than that, and I hope he keeps I hope Carson himself holds himself to a higher standard than that. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and say it was week one. He's getting all that out, and there was things with the rest of the team that I didn't like. And Carson Beck, I seen scrolling on Twitter all the Georgia fans. There was split reaction. Some people loved his performance. Some people didn't like it. Some thought he played good. Some thought he could have been better. And that's how it's gonna be with any fan base, any team, and whole fan base won't agree, and that's just how it is. And like I said, it's things to improve on, and on week 2 they look better, and I'm looking forward to this weekend.
So you know one thing that I thought was kind of funny. You know how Aaron Murray was in the booth for the broadcast with Ashley Shamady, who was also a UGA grad. He had pretty much a UGA booth. It was a good one to pick for that game. Did you notice the couple times that Aaron Murray would get called up talking about we instead of they? He couldn't,
Hmm.
couldn't keep the homerism out of them, which he was on SEC Network like plus 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 plus. If there's a place to get away with that, it's that network. But I think it's cool to see. First of all, dude hasn't aged a day. He's like 33 years old now. He looks maybe a year older than he did when he graduated from UGA, doesn't he? Nice water bottle there, Swig.
Yeah, that man still look young.
I guess 33 isn't that old, but yeah, I agree.
Look,
All right,
co-
let's get into
college
the.
young.
That's fair. Well, we'll get into the stats here. Looking at the game leaders here, Carson Beck goes 21 of 31, a little under 300 yards, 294 to be exact. Only one touchdown, maybe could have been a little bit better. I don't think he threw an interception though. It doesn't show anything here. Kendall
Yeah,
Milton
it
9
was a turnover
carries.
free game.
There was a yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
good to
turnover
know.
free.
Brock Bowers 5 receptions, 77 yards. What you want to see out of the weapon? The next Kyle Pitts in the draft, and Kendall Milton 9 carries, 53 yards. He'll get more wear and tear throughout the season. Like all things considered, I think it was a win for Georgia. If there's anything else to check under the stat line here, of course, Gunnar Stockton came in. He went 3 for 5, 29 yards. Brock Vandegrift 2 for 3 with, of course, that bomb, 77 yards and the touchdown. You saw Roderick Robertson come in. He almost had the same amount of carries as Milton, got 9 for 53, averaging 5.9 a carry. Roderick comes in, gets 8 for 50 with a touchdown, averaging 6.2 yards a game, and a lot of it was split out between Andrew Paul and the quarterbacks, all getting a little under 20 yards. Of course, there was no Lad McConkey in this game, so that's maybe a little bit of a difference that, Beck will have that weapon going forward. He's now an upperclassman. They'll be able to get used to him in the Mike Bible offense. But you see Mecky Myers as well with 3 receptions, 75 yards. I believe he was the guy that caught the Vandegrift touchdown at the very end of the game. CJ Smith, 2 receptions, 57 yards. Rara Thomas, that's a fun name to say, comes in, gets 1 catch, but it's a bomb, 56 yards. I'm sure that was one of Beck's best passes.
Hmm.
Dylan Bell, 32 yards on 3 reception. Cash Jones, gosh, look at all these football player names. Dominic Lovett, Zeed Haynes, Cole Spear, Anthony Evans the third, Oscar Delp. And then even looking at the defense, where's the Joe Thomases of the world anymore? Why are they like, did he retire the common name with his NFL football career? Because it seems like every freaking athlete has a stereotype. You look at baseball too, my favorite sport. Every baseball player has the baseball sounding name. So it's almost like I look at our names, Micah. Our names look like they're meant for the sports industry. So it's almost like we're NPCs, and I'm going on a tangent at this point, and that our names are pretty much pre-assigned to what we be. Anyway, apart from that, that's how Georgia week looked week 1. You mind if we go over Tech real quick?
Yep.
All right. So, of course, they were not as lucky in their first meeting. They end up playing Friday night at the Benz in Atlanta in one of the college kickoff games, and it did not go too well for the Ramblin' Wreck. They end up falling to the Louisville Cardinals in an ACC conference clash, and they were the better team for most of the game. For first ever game for Brent Key, who took over for Jeff Collins, who took over for Paul Johnson, and we thought, okay, Jeff Collins did some really good things at Temple and as a coordinator at other places. He's bringing in the pro offense. It's going to be a good time for Georgia Tech. Terrible. He was making the same mistakes he was year 4. as he was year one, and I'm not surprised at all that he got fired last year. Brent Key comes in, about turned them into a bowl game team, which was amazing to think about. And yeah, the freshman quarterback they had played really good on Friday night. As I said, they do end up dropping the game by a final score of 39-34 to the Louisville Cardinals. But Micah, there was a point in the second quarter. Georgia Tech puts up 28 in the second quarter. They scored on 4 consecutive drives. That's pretty hybrid for the former triple option, and then under Jeff Collins, where nobody knew what the hell they were doing. To see 4 straight scores opening night with a freshman quarterback, new coach, that's something you can take into the next game. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
And his stat line: 19 of 32, 303 touchdowns, yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also led the team in rushes, 10 carries for 53 yards. So do it all, Haynes King. Keep that in mind. That's going to be a Georgia Tech quarterback for the next couple of years, is what they're hoping. Malik Rutherford was the top receiver for 5 receptions, 85 yards. Um, Chase Lane comes in for 3 receptions, 69 yards. Nice. But Georgia Tech really had this game in the bag for the most part. Slipped away towards the second half. They didn't score again until the fourth quarter, and it just seemed like they went away from what worked really well in that first quarter, or second quarter, I should say, and it came back to bite them in the butt. Um, so if you're Georgia Tech, you just got to go back to throwing the football. They want to more of the cute running the ball offense in that second half, and Louisville came back. And Georgia Tech still had many chances to put that game away. They missed 2 field goals. That didn't help. Missed 2 chip shots. So, being your engineering school, maybe it's not the easiest to get a kicker to come there. But that's something they got to improve on. They missed a kick before half, getting an interception that might have had a chance to ice the game at that point. They would have been up 31-13 instead of 28-13, which is a 2-score, 3-score difference. Changes the whole concept at halftime. That was a big momentum swing. Then them missing another 32-yarder with like 9 minutes to go. 32 yards, Micah. Like, you and I could make that on a good day. Like, what's going on out here? I don't know. Like, college kickers, man, week one is always one of the roughest ones for them. But if you're a Georgia Tech fan, like, you have to feel really confident in what you saw. They looked like a much more confident team than we have seen really the last 6 years, going back to the Paul Johnson era. Georgia Tech has been ugly, ugly to watch. And for them to come out and almost shock the world against a not so great Louisville team at the Benz Friday night was unfortunate. But they they uh, they did their best. Gonna jump into week 2 here, previewing the games that happen this Saturday, less than 48 hours or so, probably the day of that this drops. So you viewers, make sure you watch this quickly. Otherwise, we'll be talking in the past, and we'll see how accurate our stuff is. The Georgia Bulldogs, of course, Micah, your guys, they stay number 1 in the standings as deserved. And they face the Ball State Cardinals Saturday at noon. How much different will this game be from UT Martin, and from what is different, what do you expect to be?
Well, I expect this to be another easy win for us. But like I was saying earlier, going into week 2, Beck knows what he needs to improve on. Kirby knows what adjustments he needs to make, and the rest of the team knows what to improve on. And like I said, some things to like last weekend, and some things that they need to fix. And coach that Kirby is, he's been on them, and they've been working. And I'm expecting to see a team this week. We stay in Athens, and we're facing Ball State, and like I said, I'm hoping to see a better game from Beck and the rest of the team. But I keep bringing up Beck because, like, like I said, the performance last week is good enough to beat UT Martin, might be good enough to beat Ball State, but down the line, oh, we, I want to see a performance that's good enough, bigger teams, come playoff time. And I want to see him have more control and to see him make the right decisions. I want to see him play turnover free football, and um, that takes some time for him since it's his first time starting here, and like I don't want to bring up another name like Vandergriff. Like I want to, you know, have faith in Beck, and hopefully picks it up after getting out his week one jitters.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. If you were to have your keys to the game, Brian Jordan style, what would they be?
Well, play free football, um, get in the end zone, of course, and I want to see the defense, the line get after the quarterback to have three keys as they do.
And then for me, I think one you could add is being that you're still seeing Ball State. Let's let Mike Bobo get a little bit more aggressive. Let's test Carson and Brock and everybody this week. Let's get a little bit more aggressive, especially if you're leading in the second half. Let's try to go deep. Let's try to do some more things in play action because that's the week to do it. When you get to SEC
Mhm.
play and you haven't done it before, it gets a little risky, trying it. That's not in practice. So I think this week maybe I can see a world where the UGA fans do get a little upset if Mike Bobo doesn't open up the playbook like it looks like he's going to this weekend, being that it is still a pretty much guaranteed win if Georgia comes out and puts people on the turf on Saturday. Um, but other than that, it's not a lot going on yet. This part of the schedule. Georgia's going to start 2-0. It's going to be the same thing. They might have a slow start. They're going to win by 50. And all is going to be fine in Athens. What might not be so fun is, changing the conversation back to Georgia Tech. They do have an easier matchup this weekend. The South Carolina State Bulldogs, ironically, they are 0-2 on the season, so rip week 0 for them. Georgia Tech looking to get off the snide and not also be 0-2. They're trying to get their first win before South Carolina State. Granted, Citadel did beat them a couple years ago, but just like how the old Falcons we talked about earlier, Micah, that was the old Jeff Collins Georgia Tech teams. Like no one really cares what they did, that's in the past, right? So
Mhm.
for Georgia Tech, you just need to go out there, handle your business. I'm going to kind of say some more of the same things, like do what works. Get a little bit more aggressive with Haynes King. It's going to be probably a pretty packed Bobby Dodd Stadium out there. It's probably going to be close to 65, 70,000 people there, if I were to guess, 1 p.m. on Saturday. So I'm excited for them, and I hope that things go well for Georgia Tech. All right, transitioning to the Braves here for a little bit, probably about a half hour or so, and then we'll jump back into the Falcons for the majority of the rest of the episode. So yeah, we'll first talk a little bit about this great West Coast trip the Braves just went on, 8-2. A month ago, even for most of the season, I looked at it as like, wow, that could be a make or break part of the season for. It's really hard for East Coast teams to go west, whether you're the Atlanta Braves, whether you're the Miami Heat, whether you're the Washington Commanders. Doesn't matter, whatever team that plays on the East Coast, it's always tough for them to go out west for a long period of time. The Braves did that, and they went and faced two playoff level clubs, the Dodgers and the Giants are kind of in the mix, not so much. And even Coors, it's not really the team; it's the Rockies. It's the ballpark itself, Coors Field. I don't know if you know this, Micah, but because Denver's so high, the stadium's a mile high as well, and so pretty much any fly ball has a chance of getting out. So no lead is safe at Coors Field. It's a tough condition to play in. So very surprised the Braves didn't get coursed in one game out there. And I'm kind of going to skip over the San Francisco series. Braves took 2 out of 3, ended up blowing it up on, Sunday Night Baseball, bringing up another rookie starter. McHugh came in, gave up all the runs, etc. Didn't really matter. They didn't lose a single game the rest of the trip until the final one. Won for a week straight, 6 in a row. But yeah, they end up, taking a sweep out in Colorado, which was huge given the circumstances because the Dodgers were right on our heels. It was a chance to gain ground. Fortunately, they did not because the Diamondbacks got swept by the Dodgers simultaneously. But I actually had a chance to go out to these games. That's why, I mentioned it earlier. The reason we didn't have a show last week, we couldn't find, a lot of time, guys, between Micah's schedule and I went out with my mother to Denver and had a great time. Went out, and this is, I don't know, like the 10th or 11th MLB ballpark I visited now. And I went out and got to see the Braves out in Coors Field. Beautiful ballpark, I must add. Beautiful. Might be nicer than Truist. And it probably sits a little bit more. It's probably closer to, 50 plus thousand. And, Truist is more 42, 43,000 with stand up room. But oh my God, Mike, that ballpark was just gorgeous out there in Denver, pretty much right near downtown, the Nuggets Avalanche Arena and, the Broncos Mile High We're all within a couple miles. We stayed over near Union Station, got to see all of Lauren Jabara's old life, if you know what I mean. So it was really cool to go out there, and the Braves ended up taking both of those games. I was there for the first and the second game. Saw Elder and Morton pitch, and they both pitched great. First game was a little close there for a little bit, and I have only lost one Braves road game in my life. I want to say I'm like 12-1 in Braves road games in my life. The one game we lost, I blame my grandmother. We were facing the Cubs. We were up 6-1 in the middle innings of a game, and it was Craig Kimbrell's first game ever with the Chicago Cubs. He signed like mid-season due to some qualifying offer term, and so we're up 6-1 in like I don't know the fourth inning, and my grandmother, who we're all sitting together at Wrigley Field, she goes, "Well, I don't think we're going to be seeing Kimbrell today." Well, the Braves go on to lose that game 9-7 with Craig Kimbrell getting the save. But so we blame that one on Sharon, my nana. If you're listening, love you. You know that one's on you. Otherwise, we'd be undefeated. But ever since then, I've pretty much gone to a lot of Braves games at many different NL East ballparks now, including Coors in the mix. And they've all been blowouts. So that first game, seeing it go back and forth in Coors, I'm like, well, this game is huge. The Dodgers are winning in LA right now. They blew it open. A streaker came on the field, hugged Ronald Acuna Jr. I missed the moment to film it. We'll talk about that more in a second. I'm sure you remember that storyline, but it was almost like it looked like he was getting jumped. It was just a drunk fan trying to give Ronnie Boy, a hug. It was a little interesting. Kevin Pillar didn't quite get what was going on in left field, but that game I sat right behind pretty much the dugout down the third base line with all the other Braves fans that traveled from, pretty much the Midwest part of the country to see their club. I flew out that morning. And the Braves took it to him. They handled business, winning that one. I want to say oof. I think we ended up winning by 10 runs. I think we ended up winning like 15-5, 14-4. They blew it open. Acuna hit a bases clearing double in the ninth inning. You got MVP chance breaking out. And so that was a really awesome game to go to. The next night, we sat up in the 300s above the press box and got to see the Rocky Mountains, looked out from the top of the ballpark and got to see a different angle. There was like a row of purple seats up behind us, and that represented the mile high mark. So anything on that mark was you were literally sitting a mile above sea level, and that was really cool to see. It was again a beautiful ballpark, and the Braves ended up winning that game too with Charlie Morton on the mound. A little bit closer, only won that game 3-1. I think got thrown out of the plate twice. We had chances to add on, we couldn't, but the bullpen came in, Minter, Iglesias, and Jimenez out of order there. But, they did their job, and the Braves ended up winning both of those games. I flew back that Wednesday night. Darius Vines, I heard, pitched great, and they went on to sweep before they went to the Dodgers series. So, yeah, I know you didn't get a chance to watch all of the Rocky series. If you did, Micah, feel free to chime in here in a second. But that was just what happened with me the last week. It was awesome. It was cool to see the Rockies play on Blake Street. So the Blake Street Bombers, I got a little love for them now. And if we had more time in this episode, I would dive into more X's and O's regarding, their pregame intro and stuff, being that the Rockies have only been around 30 years. They don't have a single division title in history. As someone who's a fan of this team, we'll talk about them more later regarding the Falcons. I get it because I watched their pregame intro. It has no history behind it, no hype behind it compared to when you go to Truist, you see Warren Spahn, you see Eddie Matthews, you see Phil Niekro, you see Hank Aaron, you see John Smoltz, you see Chipper, Andrew, all of this. Now Freddie's in there as well. You see all of the history and all of the winning the Braves have done in a longer span than 30 years. And it's just so sad to see what the Rockies have for their pregame intro. It's just a family watching a game and falling in love, and then all of a sudden going to a game in person. It's sad, man. It's depressing. But as a fan of the Falcons, we do have probably a little bit more history than the Rockies, a little bit more success, but we do have about 25 years on them. They're 30 years old. We're closer to 60. But yeah, it's really interesting to see the clash between them. You could tell the pecking order in Denver. It's the Broncos City by far. Then you got the Avalanche. They're out in the Midwest. They love their hockey. The Nuggets just won, so they really love their Nuggets. And then way, way down, you got the Rockies, which is a shame because, as I said, that ballpark was beautiful. The outside, it was not quite the Battery, but they had a whole little facility just like Truist Park had. So it's a shame to see that beautiful ballpark not really bringing anybody. But that's my Coors trip, and if you have anything else to add, if not, we'll talk about the Dodgers here for a little bit. All right, so really excited with how the Braves handle that Dodgers trip. I really think they sent a message. Really proud of them. Ultimately, that's a place that's been really, really tough for the Braves to win over many years, and for them to go out there, take 3 of 4, get the tiebreaker, beating them 4-7 in the season. First time that's happened since 2013. First time winning a series in Dodger Stadium since 2012. Very proud to see what the Braves have done. So yeah, super amped and pumped for what's the rest of the season. It made me fear the Dodgers a little bit less. I know it's only the regular season and yada yada, but most years they've beaten us in the regular season, and that's true in the playoffs. So I'm willing to take this extra momentum and count it against them. But yeah, from everything you saw this series, from the Acuna Grand Slam being the first ever player to get 30 home runs, 60 stolen bases in the season and counting, taking 3 of 4, the great performances from Max, Spencer for the most part, and Bryce. Acuna having another home run, a 121 off the bat. Them having a chance to sleep on Sunday and just about doing it. The bullpen holding their own, not letting the Dodgers complete comebacks like days of the old. Matt Olson didn't do great this series. That's one thing I'll say. Maybe a little bit better from him. Arcia even that third game, that ball just carried. So yeah, just take us through your perspective, game by game from everything. You remember, the floor is yours, man. Screw the Dodgers.
um, like I didn't know we hadn't won a series um in Dodger Stadium since 2012. That's crazy. I'm glad we finally did it for the first
I
time since
remember,
2012.
man. I was a second grade or so, man. It was tough, tough, long time out there.
Yeah, that's wild, but we finally did it, and I'm glad. And that first game, Acuna, he got married the same day he broke made MLB history, 30 home runs and 6 bases. Like I do, and talking about the game, like I've said in previous episode, I haven't been really able to watch the games, but just like score watching, I seen we had a pretty big, well, a pretty good lead, and then Dodgers started coming back, but like, was able to hold them off and stop the comeback. You know, in the days of the old years, the Dodgers would come back and win, and being able to hold them off is showing the improvement. And like it was that for a couple of games in the series where and we hold on. And, um that was like improvement. One game I did get to watch was that game on Saturday where and extra innings. Um, that home run was huge, won us the game, and the vibes with the team is looking real good. We're beating one of the best teams in the MLB, one of the teams that the Braves have been struggling with, and after doing 3 out of 4, that was a huge thing for us, and I'm glad we was able to do it. Like Blake said, that takes a lot some of the fear away from that team, and that builds momentum with the team.
And talking about that RCA home run for a second, just to be able to find a way to win game 3, holding the Dodgers to 1 run through 9 innings at home. Because coming into that, like, I knew the Braves had the better record. The Dodgers had the hottest month of August. They were the hottest team in baseball, not the Braves. So, for to be the other way, game 1, getting up 8-1 and still finding a way to only win by 1 run, it sent a message of like, uh-oh, we won. That's good. In the years of the past, that wouldn't have happened. But, the bullpen's still giving up bombs left and right. Pierce Johnson gave up a bomb in game 2. Game 1, Minter gave up a bomb. Joe Jimenez gave up 2 bombs. Iglesias stranded 2 guys on base. It wasn't pretty, but they found a way. Game 2, as you mentioned, you know, the Braves played pretty much a perfect game. Max Fried goes 7 scoreless. They have a little botched ball in the bottom of the 8th, which brings, Freddie Freeman's spot in the order up. They end up, the Dodgers punt the game. Dave Roberts punts the game. He pinch hits Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman for David Peralta, who strikes out, and Colton Wong, the former Brewer. It was his first ever at bat in the Dodgers uniform, and he hits a 3-run tank job on a slider that hung from Pierce Johnson. It's just ironic, right? How you you pretty much play a perfect game versus the Dodgers. You blink, and that was us being surprised they pinched hit their guys, and Ozzy making an error that might have ended the inning before Colton Wong, Freddie Freeman came up to bat. And for him to hit that homer, it's like, oh god, the lead was cut in half, and Tonkin comes in, strands the tying run at the plate, and they end up holding on the ninth inning. Kirby Yates comes in, only allows one base runner, which is really good for him. And they got aggressive. They won the first two, and as you said, they won the third game. Arcia, did you see how mad Alex Vesia, the reliever who Arcia hit off of, for those that aren't aware, did you see how pissed he was when that ball left Arcia's bat? Because he doesn't get any cheap ones. When he hits a homer, it flies out of ballparks. He was pissed, man. So yeah, it was a little discouraging to see Bobby Miller, the rookie, shut us down twice. We saw him in his MLB debut. Actually, really promised guy. He is going to be really good in a couple years. I do believe that. We did miss Clayton Kershaw, but we know playoff Kershaw exists. But yeah, like the Dodgers starting rotation isn't where the Braves is right now, and they've even had their own issues. Like Julio Urias just got arrested again. The Braves ended him pretty much. Walker Buehler is still coming back from Tommy John. He's like a Kyle Wright thing. They have no idea how he's going to be. Kershaw has his own issues. Dustin May and Gonsolin, they're already out for the season. The Braves at least have a couple of guys we can rely on. I'm going to knock on air for those listening. But it's just really good to see us finally get the monkey off our back, take that season series. We gained 3 games on them in the process. By winning 3 of 4, we gained 2 in the standings. And by winning 4 of 7 versus them this year altogether, we get the tiebreaker. So now if we tie records at the end of the year, the Braves get the 1 seed. So as of right now, I think as of tonight, we're 6 up on them. Call it 7 with only 3 weeks to play. That is something the Braves have not had in a long time. Being ahead of the Braves have been playing catch up their whole life against the Dodgers. And this is the year to beat them. It really is. 'Cause I don't know if you've heard. They're signing Shohei Ohtani this winter. They're going to be back. They reset that luxury tax. They replaced veterans with young guys. This rivalry is not going anywhere. But if the Braves do find a way to bounce them again this year in the playoffs, I think the trajectory towards it is probably going to flip. Because that would now be 2 times in a row Atlanta has outed LA in the Major League playoffs. So I really hope that's the case. They're always fun games at the end of the day, but every pitch is a heart attack looming. But it was great to see the Braves win 3 of 4. Any last thoughts on this series? Because man, oh man, was it a blast.
Yeah, so I only got to watch one game, man. And that from me just watching that one game,
man. You really did.
Yeah, I seen a whole bunch of people saying it was like a playoff atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
And from me just watching that one game, I also felt that, and I wish I was able to watch the entire series, but me
set your bally up, man. Hawks are on it too.
Glad about that. It was a pretty good game that I got to see.
And then what about the other highlights you got to see on social media from the games you didn't see? What was your reactions to all those?
Just picking up my favorite one was like I mentioned earlier with Cunha's grand break to make MLB history with the 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases. Like Acuna is MVP. I don't care what nobody says, he is MVP.
That ball set the tone. I was screaming around this entire room, going all around my base, and going, "We're here! Let's go! We're in Hollywood! That's the MVP!" All types of explicits for about 5 minutes, and in the process, Austin Riley also went deep. And then the next night, Kelly Cruz on the mic, "Oh, and here goes another one," as he hit 121 off the bat, the third hardest hit ball in the StatCast era. Mike, I don't think you understand, as like someone who's newer to baseball, he hit 122 pretty much miles off the bat. Boom! Like 450 at like a low launch angle. Imagine he hit it at like a 25-degree launch angle. That ball would have been hit 550 feet. That was one of the hardest swings I have ever seen, and I think that is going to be one of the best swings he's ever taken in his career. It's hard to replicate that. It's a sport of failure, and for him to do that is just amazing. Mookie Betts had a great series. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
He was part of the reason they won that last game. He was part of the reason the games were close in games 1 and 3. He didn't do much in game 2, but Acuna outperformed him in his own ballpark, and with him leaving tonight in Miami to injury, we hope that Mookie Betts is okay at all. Acuna really sealed the deal for the MVP. If he doesn't go on a slump the rest of the year and he stays consistent like he has been, he's going to win the MVP, which I had a little doubts there for a little bit with how hot Mookie's August had been. He overtook Ronald in some categories, but Ronald has since, with the season-long consistency, Mookie finally coming back down to earth towards where his season-long consistency has been. You're seeing Ronald slowly overtaking Mookie again in those stats that Mookie had finally overtaken him after 5 months of play. So that's really good to see. But
Yep.
what's ironic, right? They take
Hmm.
3 of 4 from LA. They come back home, Micah. We face a 60-win St. Louis Cardinals team. Really disappointing, just like the Mets, just like the Padres, just like the Yankees of the world. Team that had a lot of high expectations. So maybe the their record's a little bit better than, or record's not quite as good as the roster's given worth, being the talent on the team. And they lose a series. They finally find a way to win tonight against the grandpa, the Georgia native, Adam Wainwright. Um, One of the worst trades in Braves history, by the way. That was awful. Well, I'll educate you about that one someday. But they barely find a way to win this game tonight by a final score of 8-5. Eddie Rosario making a great catch to not let things get dicey with Tyler O'Neill, with Goldschmidt and Arenado. We're coming up to bat next. Yeah, they came out flat the first 2 nights, dude. I was there Tuesday night. Soroka, 3 innings, 5 runs, got hurt again. 2 earned runs. It doesn't really let it. Him getting hurt really screws us because it makes it to where we're not going to be able to get 2025 on his rookie year service time wise, rookie contract. So that's really unfortunate. I wonder if that's the end of the lines for Soroka. I really do, because even if he had the chance next year, like, you're not going to pay him because you still got to pay Max Fried, AJ Minter, a bunch of others in that same free agency class. So I really hate it for him. And then Colin McHugh came up and mop up, and he was even worse. His ERA balloons, all his stats balloon, giving up bombs left and right to the Cardinals offense. And yeah, the Braves ended up making it interesting at the end. The Cardinals bullpen is really bad, like really bad. Like us Braves fans day to day, we think ours is trash. The Cardinals bullpen is historically trash. That's the whole reason that team sucks. They have no pitching. They have a top 3 offense, Micah, bottom 3 defense. So you giving up runs to them isn't the worst thing in the world. They do have some Hall of Famers in that lineup. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. They have William Contreras, his older brother, some younger guys that were in the World Baseball Classic, like Tommy Edman, like Lars Nootbaar, tough name to say. Tyler O'Neill's built like a linebacker out in left field. They have a great offense. That's not the issue. It's their pitching. That's what their downfall was this year. They had none of it. None. Michaelis got hurt. They traded Flaherty. Wainwright's washed. Their bullpen's a mess. They traded some pieces off. Screw Helsley, by the way. He ruined the chop. Their closer. That's why the Cardinals have issues. So us giving up runs to them, while granted it was 10 and 11 runs respectively, is not the end of the world because, as I did say, that offense is a top 3 offense in the league. But the Braves giving up 10 or 11 runs, it basically, to put it in football terms, they outkicked their punt coverage. They outkicked the offensive coverage to come back, because there were the first 2 games, the Braves did make it interesting. They came back from 9-1 to 9-6 with guys on in the 8th inning in game 1. And they came back from 6-0 to make it 7-5, and then later 8-6 in the 6th and 7th innings of game 2. So they had chances, just the bullpen and the starters not going deep put them in a tough hole against that good offense to come back. They did find a way to win tonight. Max Fried had a rough second inning. The Braves put up 3 in the first off Wainwright. Acuna hits 2 bombs. Great way to get to 40-40. The Cardinals manager made a mistake by leaving in Wainwright for an extra batter. He should have taken him out when the lineup flipped to Ronald Acuna Jr., and he made him pay his second bomb instead of taking him out and putting in a new pitcher. But I'll take it. Sucks to be Wainwright in that moment. But the Braves going to win 8-5 tonight. Iggy gives up 2 runs in the 9th, a non-save situation. I think that's a little to it. Hadn't pitched in a couple of days. He's fine. Get it out now. Get your rough outings out in those type of scenarios. But yeah, the offense finally showed up tonight. Max Fried goes 6 innings, 3 runs, just gave up the 3 runs in that second inning. The other 5 innings were scoreless. Minter a scoreless inning, Pierce Johnson a scoreless inning, and then Iggy, as I said, came in his non-usual role and gave up a couple runs, maybe a little bit of bad luck too. The umpire was inconsistent tonight. But yeah, I guess quickly, they played the Pirates this weekend. Magic numbers down to 10. Again, up 7 games on the Dodgers for home field advantage. That probably won't be settled for a little while longer. But at this pace, man, like we faced the Phillies in a 4-game series, doubleheader on the 11th. Of course, they played Tuesday and Wednesday as well, off Thursday before they go to Miami for one last series. Then Philly comes to town. So we see the Phillies 7 times starting Monday through that next following Wednesday. That's going to be the time the division's wrapped up. If the Braves can go 3-4, 4-3, now I do think us beating them will be another sign of confidence, right? Because we did lose to them in the postseason last year, so us being able to beat them in September will maybe give us a little bit more confidence because we are on a collision course with them. Maybe it even knocks them down, so we don't have to face them in a potential NLDS matchup. But as of right now, it looks like the Braves are going to, lock this division up within the next week or so. Magic number is 10. Hopefully, it's closer to 7 or 6 by Sunday afternoon, and they go in and they split in Philadelphia, and it's pretty much wrapped by the time they get to Miami. And that's a fun place to party. Which gives them a week to rest their guys, and it gives them another week to get back on track for the playoffs. There's no rust this year like we had with the Mets last year. But yeah, it's great to think we're gonna get our 6th straight title. Hopefully they lock up the 1 seed as well. But facing Pittsburgh this weekend, hopefully they handle business. I would love a sweep, but I'd also understand 2 out of 3. You got 2 pitchers that are to be determined. It's Elder tomorrow night. I'm guessing Morton Saturday. It's not disclosed yet, and Sunday will probably be another rookie call up. It's just the whole carousel. But Micah, what are you expecting for them in the next week regarding how soon they'll lock up the division? Again, the magic number is 10, and the way it goes down, for those that don't know, is every Braves win or Phillies loss. So you need a combination of 10 Braves wins and Phillies losses between now and the end of the year to clinch the division.
Well, I can pretty confidently say that we're gonna lock up the division pretty soon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, we're shooting for number one in the entire National League, and um, the pace they're going, I don't see us, not getting there. And um, like you said, 6 straight NL East titles, and let's start a streak of being number one in the entire National League.
And yeah, like as you said, top of the National League. And hell, if Baltimore doesn't go crazy and we outperform them, we're going to have the number 1 record in the league, which means we will have home field advantage throughout the entirety of the playoffs. I'm talking division series, championship series, and the World Series. 1 game at a time. We learned that in 21. We learned it the opposite way last year. 1 game at a time. The Braves got to go in hot. They got to use home field advantage. You got to win both of
Mhm.
those first 2 games at home. If they win both of those first 2 games at home in the playoffs, I don't care who they're playing in the DS. I have confidence they won't lose 3 in a row afterwards. But if you wait all year, winning 106 games, breaking the franchise record, just to lose that first playoff game, that first 2, one of the 2, and split it and give the Phillies or whoever we're playing home field advantage, then it gets a little bit dicey because then they have home field in a best of 3 because it goes 2-2 in that final game back in Atlanta, 2 in the other place, 1 in Atlanta. So you got to win both of those home games. You do, I think you're fine. You go up 2-0 on the road, you split up there, you sweep them even, you're chilling. But if you end up splitting like they did last year and like they have in many years of Braves history when they've won the NL East and just sat back on their heels, that's where it gets dicey because I don't know if I trust them to win 2 out of 3 against a hot wild card winning team when they go back to their house, especially if it's the same Phillies we saw last year. So it'll be a big test to see how we play in Citizens Bank Ballpark this week because they're a 500 team on the road. The Phillies, they're about a 500 team on the road, which works in the playoffs. You split the home games or you split the road games, you win your home games. That's the recipe for success. They're about 20 games over 500 at Citizens Bank Ballpark, home of the Phillies, and they're about a game or so under 500 on the road. But that's pretty much everything regarding the Braves for now. Um, yeah, I mean, back to the Falcons we go. If that's all right with you, Micah. Hopefully things
Let's
go well for
go.
Atlanta throughout the remainder of the stretch. But yeah,
Yep.
as we talked about at the beginning, I'll let you take the wheel as well. We got a game Sunday. We got a season starting Sunday, a season with hope, filled with hope as of right now. And maybe I come back to this in December. We're 6-11, and I'm like, you did it again, Blake. And you're probably saying the same thing to yourself in your sleep. But I'm thinking confidently this year. We're
Mhm.
back. We're talking the talk, and we're trying to back it up. We're gonna go through, guys, game by game here. Probably spend about a couple minutes each on each game. We'll come back at the end of the year and look how we did. I think our record. Don't say it out loud, Micah, but I think from what we've talked about in the past, our records are the same on on this. And if you're ready, we'll hop into it, guys. We'll make sure that we cover this. All right, man. So we talked about this earlier. Week 1, Atlanta Falcons at home this weekend in the Mercedes Benz. Hopefully, it's a hype crowd. Hopefully, it's an AM crowd. Hopefully, it's a Falcons led crowd versus a rookie quarterback in the Carolina Panthers. Mike, I'm gonna let you take the wheel with the segment. I've done a lot of the talking tonight. Week 1, man, huge one. We haven't been over 500 in over 5 years. Haven't won a Week 1 game in general, and I think longer than that. Tell me where you're at and what you're expecting from this game, man. It's for real. Football for real is happening in the Benz, in our backgrounds, in like 72 hours. Talk to me.
Like I said, Falcons football is back, and I'm excited and I'm ready. Um, we'll be able to go deeper into this game since this game is, like you said, 72 hours. Um, but like going from what's been happening at practice with Carolina, their top two receivers in DJ Chark and Adam Thielen, they've been missing practice lately due to injury. Going to Brian Burns, he's been upset. He was holding out, I believe, last week and on Monday, but he came back to practice later this week. But he's upset over a contract dispute, and that's a trend with um, it's not a problem the Falcons have to worry about as of right now. Going to Cordell Patterson, he came back to practice. He was limited. Jeff Okuda, who I'm excited about this year, he wasn't able to practice today. But Kadero Hodge was back as the full participant. But I have this as a win for the Falcons. I think our defensive line is going to give Bryce Young a lot of problems. It's going to be the first real test for our secondary. Even though Okuda is not out there, it'd be. Uh, but we have Jesse Bates out there. We have Caden Ellis out there. We have Troy Anderson starting now. So it'd be the first real test for our defense, and I'm glad it's not one of a top team where if they're not at their best, they'll be discouraged because I believe they'll be able to hold Carolina. So I have this as a win.
I would love to miss Brian Burns. Really would. And as of right now, we're sitting here on a Thursday night. Do you think, like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a definite, what do you think the chances are that Brian Burns suits up against the Falcons Sunday?
I mean, given that he's practicing now, I'm guessing that he's gonna Burns if you want to do in nation a favor and not play. We'll very much appreciate that
So what's your official number?
for a score.
No, for Brian Burns' chance to
Oh,
suit up on Sunday.
I give it 85, 90% chance.
Damn. But yeah, like missing Brian Burns this weekend would be, I wouldn't say it would guarantee a Falcons win, but it would make it a whole hell of a lot closer. He is a major reason they have beaten us in some of the recent outings.
Hmm.
All time, the Falcons own Carolina. Like even in some of our worst years, we always find a way to beat the Panthers. The last couple years, it's kind of been back and forth. I want to say it's like 4-4, 3-3 in the last couple years. It's very even. But over the last 7 or 8 years, the Falcons have still dominated over the Cam Newton, Matt Ryan era. We had their number. But the last couple years, they've been able to beat us by Brian Burns and by Derek Brown. Caleb McGarry took a huge step up last year, but one guy that still dominated, I'm sure you can agree, was Brian Burns. And him not having to face him the first day of the season, I think would be a huge help for us and help Caleb McGarry be able to sleep at night. And then regarding, Derek Brown, him not having Brian Burns makes him less of an impact, and that helps the rookies like Matthew Bergeron and Drew Dalman, who's only a third-year player as well, only a second-year starting. So that's kind of where I'm at. I am predicting this a win. I do think it'll be a really close game, but like if all the points you're saying are true, there's no reason the Falcons should win this game. I understand the hype with Bryce Young. I understand that they have they have some of the same issues that we do. I understand the Panthers' point of view thinking they can win this game. But me personally, I think they're a year behind where we are. I think they're about where the 2022 Falcons are. They're going to come into next season a lot more, put together as a team. And the Falcons just need to go out there and handle business. I think I have us winning by 10, but I don't think that'll be very indicative of how the score will end up. I think we'll be up 3 or 7 at the end of the game with the ball, and we add on an icing touchdown / field goal. And I think that'll be the difference. Us putting the game away instead of giving, Carolina one last opportunity and hoping that it's not the same old Falcons and fashion. But yeah, hopefully we get to the quarterback. Hopefully Calais puts him on the ground. Hopefully Bud Dupree puts him on the ground. Hopefully Grady gets him on the ground a couple times. Hopefully Caden Ellis and some of the blitzers get back there, and we give the rookie quarterback HE double hockey sticks. Because if we do that, that's our chance to win. I think Dante Foreman was better than Miles Sanders last year. I'm glad that they maybe decided to let Dante Foreman walk. He got revenge on us last year. He ate us up in both of those
Literally.
games. Adam Thielen is not really that same. I think we'll make a couple of catches, but I don't see a world that Adam Thielen and DJ Chark should be an issue for this upgraded secondary. I do know we'll probably miss Akuda week 1. He might not even come back towards week 3 or week 4, but that's really the only missing piece as of right now for this Sunday. Johnny
Hayden Hurst
Cordero.
revenge game.
No, don't you dare even think that. He actually scared me as well with my headset. But the team Carolina has put together is probably a year behind us, and if we find a way to loosen them week 1, it's the same old Falcons. Like you can't really think otherwise. It'd be deflating. And us missing Jeff Okuda is pretty much the only thing. Johnny Smith and Cordero pretty much got the preseason off. They'll be full ready for their Joker positions on Sunday. Which, shout out to Cordero for that. And I think this will probably be the longest pick we have, but being it's the recent game. But yes, I do have the Falcons winning Sunday. I pray that we're not wrong. For my sanity, for your sanity, for all of the Southeast. I mean, I guess the Southeast is also Panthers country, but for all of Metro Atlanta's sanity, please just go out there and do your job, Arthur. Go out there and get pressure, Ryan. Go out there and make us proud, Dez. Everybody show out. All the new additions show why you're here. And let's go get over 500, man. Let's start on the right foot.
Fact.
Amen.
All right, week 2, we got the Green Bay Packers coming to Atlanta, playing in the Benz. This game has me a little shaky. Like us with Desmond Ritter, they have a young quarterback getting his first, year starting with the team. And Jordan Love, they have basically the same team they had last year with a different quarterback. They still got Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Christian Watson. They still have their defense with Jair Alexander, Devondre Campbell. They still have their pieces. It's a lot of the same team from when Aaron Rodgers was there, just with a different quarterback. This team, like I said, has me feeling shaky, but I don't want to get my hopes up, so I'm gonna say this will be a loss for us.
See, I'm in the same boat. I do think the hype around Jordan Love is a little disrespectful, and in credit to Desmond Ritter, being that he's like year 4. I do understand he was a first round pick and learned under Aaron Rodgers, but what has he shown us? And the 3 years and plus that Dez didn't show us in the 4 games last year. That what did Dez not show in Cincinnati that Jordan didn't show at Utah State or wherever he was? So I do think it'll be a very interesting matchup, but I do see a world where we get high off the win off Carolina and come into this game a little sleepy. I think there'll still be a little bit of Packer fandom in the Benz. Unfortunately, hopefully that's cut out by the December months. But I do think the Falcons do slip up this game. I think it's. I'd rather it be this way though. I think I'd rather win the Panthers game and lose to the Packers than vice versa. But I do think that's a very likely outcome that we split the first two games, and I think that this will be more of a humbling experience, more of a growing experience. I just hope the loss isn't ugly, but I do think the
Yeah.
Packers find a way that they're still the big market team they are. Could the Falcons still be a better team than them at the end of the season? Sure, but I think the Packers find a way to win week two, and I think we're both square up at 1-1.
Hmm.
All right,
Going into
my
week
bad.
3, the Falcons head out to Detroit to face the Lions. Um, the day we're recording this is Thursday, the first day of the NFL. They play the Chiefs tonight. Seen a
Hmm.
lot of things to like with the Lions tonight. You see, Dan Campbell still the still the same coach, willing to gamble out there, take risk. No, Dan Campbell is a coach that I like. His energy is
I think he's Dan
it's
Quinn in colors.
yeah,
That's
his
just me.
his energy is amazing, and I like him as a NFL fan. But going into that game, week 3, like I had Falcons lose in the previous week, so I think the Falcons are coming back for revenge. They're hungry. They want to fix the mistakes they made the previous week. Is more tape on the Lions, and I think it's similar with the Falcons and the Lions, are similar with them trying to get out of their rebuild and go back and go try to make it to the playoffs. Um, Young running backs with them having Gibbs, Falcons have Big John. They're still trying to build their team. The Falcons still trying to build their team, and I think this would be a pretty good game. And like I said, I think the Falcons come in and try to get their revenge, and they're hungry after the previous game. So I have this one as a win.
This is where I'm actually going to disagree with you. I think seeing them tonight makes me a little bit more confident in me disagreeing with you.
Hmm.
Now I will say, like as you said, Dan Campbell was still ballsy tonight. They beat the Super Bowl champions on opening night. Ironically, Andy Reid made Dan Campbell look like a normal person by going for it on 4th and 25 across midfield. We talked about a pre-show. The Chiefs still had all three of their timeouts. They still had the 2-minute warning. They basically still had four timeouts if they punted it, and they had more defensive ground to hold. But they got a little ballsy, and Mahomes still almost made the play. But
Hmm.
bad drops from his receivers tonight. But nonetheless, the Lions get the win, which I don't think anybody saw coming. Now, granted, when I saw that Kelsey was out and Chris Jones were officially out, I was a little bit less confident in the Chiefs, but I still thought week one they'll get it done at home. But I definitely thought the game was going to be close. The Lions won. And being
Hmm.
that this will be the first road game for the Falcons, hell, it'll be the first time we've been on the road since the day we flew back from Miami. Remember that? Like very beginning of August, we've been home for the last two preseason games, that bye week. Now we have the first two games at home. We're gonna have almost a near 6 week stretch, because we probably flew back the day after that Dolphins game. We're probably gonna fly out Thursday or Friday to Detroit. The Falcons are gonna be home for over 6 weeks. And I think during that time, maybe being on the road against a team that could possibly be 2-0 could be a little unwelcoming. They're not your same. This is not your dad's lines. This is not your granddad's lines. This isn't even the Matthew Stafford hype lines. This is Dan Campbell's lines. And I
Hmm.
think this offense will give this team a little bit of trouble. I think that it's going to take a couple weeks for our defense to gel together. It's going to be a slow process. And I do think that the Lions just do enough to win this game behind their home crowd and set us back. And I think we'll be 1-2, back under 500. Don't panic though. Let's go to week four.
Week 4, the Falcons are going to London to face the Jacksonville Jaguars and Calvin Ridley for the first
Ugh.
time since he's been traded. Um, this one. Um, I don't, this one also has me feeling a little shaky. We're seeing better team with the Jaguars last year under Doug Peterson. He had Trevor Lawrence looking like a like a valid a good quarterback in the NFL. He had the offense looking like a good team, and they made the playoffs last year and managed to come back and beat the Chargers. Um, and they've only gotten better this offseason, adding Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, from what we've seen, it's been looking very, very, very good, very explosive, and um, yeah, like it's gonna hurt watching him play against us. And um, I don't know if all Falcons fans could say this, but I'm hoping for the best for Ridley. And that's only gonna help the Falcons because they extend him, we get a better pick. And like I said, getting back to the game, I have this one as a loss and putting the Falcons at 2-2.
So ironically, this is where I pivot, and we're both going to end up at 2-2. This is the only game where I agree Calvin Ridley cannot go off. Go get your contract, buddy. Go off. Go have fun with Trevor Lawrence. Go have fun with that whole team. Go have fun with Trevor, with Christian, the whole shebang, with even Evan Ingram. Just don't go off this game. If you're going to get a touchdown, make it a garbage touchdown. The Falcons already have this game in hand. But I think this is a game. The Jaguars are playing 2 games over in London. This is the first one, and I think because of that, they might be a little bit more focused on the Bills the week later. I think they could come in a little sleeping on us. I think Arthur Smith is super hyped to play over there. He knows the international focus, and you hear him talking crazy how he wants to go get knighted if they win and become Sir Coach Smith. So I think the Falcons come out after losing back-to-back games, at least in my realm of reality. They come out and ball. I think it'll be a close game regardless. Most NFL games are. I think Calvin Ridley does a little, but not too much. And I think we find a really great way to win this game and say, you know what? Hey, we're 2-2, but I saw what I needed to see today. We didn't lose 3 in a row. That would be ugly. And I think this team is back in the right direction, headed home for a rookie quarterback. And it's not Bryce Young, and it's not a team that's in our division. It's CJ Stroud in Houston. We're both at 2-2 going into the month of October. Micah, the floor is once again yours.
The Falcons return to Atlanta back in the bins. Like you said, facing a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud. Go ahead and get this out the way. I have this as a win with the Falcons going 3-2. The Texans are building a pretty nice team. Got a new coach coming in this year. They made a huge and unexpected move in a draft to get Stroud, and then going trading back up to get Will Anderson. And I honestly like that move for them. And those were two could be 2 generational players for them. And um I'm ready to see where the Texans go after their years with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. I'm ready to see them improve on that. But like I said, I have Falcons at 3-2 winning this game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, this has to be a game the Falcons can't lose. Like, in the years past, maybe there's a world, but you're at home. You're coming off a win, at least in my world. You got to get a way to get back over 500 quickly. Don't let it get anywhere close to the 1,000-day mark again. Handle business. This team is much better, especially if healthy. CJ Stroud will probably be a little bit better week 5 than he is week 1, and difference to Bryce Young. But the team just isn't as good. Will Anderson might give us a little bit of an issue, but the Falcons should just handle this game. This should be one of the games where they have momentum from minute 1 to minute 60, and they get themselves back over 500 and just take care of business, because those are the type of games to take you from 7-10 to 10-7 when you find a way to win these games instead of losing them like they have the last couple years of Dan Quinn and to start the Arthur Smith era. But yes, I agree with you full heartedly. I both have us 3-2. And they have back-to-back home games here, 4 of 6 to start this season. This time, take it away.
This game, like you said, at home again. Have a look like we got a whole bunch of home games start the season. So
4
that
of
back
6.
half
You got to start fast. You have to start fast.
and that
4
back
6
half
at
of the
home.
schedule is a little scary, but we'll get to that. Washington comes in to Atlanta. Previous years we've had
Mhm.
hard time, with the Commanders with 2 years ago. Taylor Heineke returned into Atlanta and playing in front of his family, um, embarrassing the defense. I don't want to get into that. And then last year, with them, like it was a one score game, a game we could have won, and Mariota, yeah. But now I think you have a good chance to beat them this year. They have like Atlanta, a young quarterback finally starting, and Sam Howell. Their defense is pretty good as it's been late last like it was last year. Um, it's like another team that I see in going in the Falcons direction, trying to come out there rebuild and continuing building on a team that's going to continue to get better. Um, this game is a little shaky, but I think the Falcons finally beat them, and it's some would say slay the dragon with them not being able to beat them the past couple of years, and we'd
And
be at
so, as
four
you
and two.
mentioned, yeah. So, as you mentioned, they've gotten us the last couple of years. We've been the same spot in the standings. That's where we've matched up for them as our NFC East opponent. They are in a much tougher division than us. I do think the rosters are pretty similar, as you said, like Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter. They got a couple of young backs. We got a couple of young backs. But the difference is like Heineke's been the guy that's found a way to pull the games from Falcons winnable reach the last 2 years. That's not a problem anymore. He's on our
Now he's
roster.
on our
He's a
side.
Falcon. Yeah, he's on our side. That's huge. And I've gone back and forth with one of my former coworkers with the Braves who works with security. You've seen it in the Braves group chat I run, Mikey. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Lyndon. Shout out to Lyndon. Huge Washington fan. He's a Braves fan. He's a Hawks fan, but he messed up with being a Washington fan. And he's talking a lot of crap about the Falcons. And I do think over the entirety of the year, I think the Falcons will be much better than Washington. I think a lot of it comes down to how good that division is. We don't have to face the Eagles and the Cowboys 4 times, and the Giants is probably a matchup for them too. I do got to give them a bit of respect, and I could easily be wrong. But because of the last 2 years, I got to see it happen first. And because of that reason, I do think we drop this game to Washington. I think the kryptonite continues, and I have us falling back to 3-3, while you have them 4-2. Tough one, but I gotta see it happen first.
Yeah.
Back on the road we go. Whether it's Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, both of them are two of my favorite college quarterbacks ever. We'll soon to see. First game with Tampa Bay this year. In your world, I could see it as more of a trap game. Mine, not so much. But the floor is yours. What do you have in this first clash with the Bucks?
Falcons head out on Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers, the Tom Brady list. Buccaneers. They've lost Leonard Fournette, Brady. Mike Evans is unhappy with them not, as of right now, not willing to give him the he wants. Um, I don't playing at this point in the season, or if he does, I feel like this will be the game that he gets benched. Um, Falcons, I think they'll continue to build under Ramon and win this game. Yeah, that's.
So what you're telling me is Kyle Trask is not going to find a way to upset the Falcons, because that would tear me apart in two different ways.
Not at all.
Good,
Not that
because
game, at least.
yeah, I
Not that
agree.
game.
I think we win this game. I have us getting back to over 500 at 4-3. You have us at 5-2. Really good start, but I think this is just another game where you have to handle business. As you said, Tom Brady's not on that sideline anymore. Some of those defensive pieces are, but like who knows? Maybe they traded off some of them. Maybe some of them are holding out. There's always going to be injuries. I do think the Bucks are probably going to be good enough to keep themselves out of the Caleb Williams Drake May sweepstakes. Believe that. I know some people have them 3 wins. I think they'll be closer to 6 and probably be just good enough to be out of the sweepstakes of those quarterbacks, which is great for us, being we don't need Bryce Young and Caleb Williams in the division. What we have, Desmond Ritter. So that's good, but this is a team we need to sweep, honestly, because I think there's a world where we don't sweep our other two division opponents. This is probably going to be the
Hmm.
last division team, the only team that didn't, I guess you could say, improve in our division. They kind of stayed pat. They lost the greatest player in the history of the league to retirement. Um, they really weren't that great last year, and I think we find a way to win this game, and we kind of have to as we get towards the dog days of the season. So I have us 4-3. You have us 5-2. We're headed towards the midway point, and this one I'm kind of surprised was not a Thursday night affair. I thought this would be maybe a game they flex. It's Arthur Smith's rematch with his former club in Tennessee. We got former Titans. He's a former Titan. We basically poached them, and they were a good running club for a couple years. So it's really not the worst idea in the world. So a little disappointed this was not a Thursday night game or a Monday night game if this was our national TV game. But hey, I'm chilling on Sundays either way. We usually get crapped on short weeks, and there's no reason for the Falcons to get a primetime game the last couple years. But yeah, where you at regarding this upcoming matchup with Tennessee?
Um, as much as I want, Arthur Smith to, go and beat his old team, um think the Falcons come back down to earth after starting off 5-2, and they lose. I think I see our defense having a hard time with Tannehill, Henry, and um I think it'd be an offensive game for both teams, and I have the Titans know Arthur Smith tendencies, and Arthur Smith, he knows how Vrabel likes to play. So it'd be interesting game, but I have us dropping this game and going to 5-3.
I disagree. I think this is a game where Arthur Smith gets up to coach. He plays his heart out, and I think he does enough to win this game. Um, I ironically think the opposite. I think that to be honest, we don't know if Tannehill is going to be the quarterback here in Tennessee either. Is it going to be Malik? Is it going to be Will? Is it going to be Ryan? I have no idea. Either way, I like our odds. I really think Arthur Smith's going to be fired up for this game. It'll be a close one because, as you do say, or as you did say, Mike Vrabel and Arthur Smith do know each other's tendencies. They're very good friends at the end of the day. Arthur Smith survived 3 coaching changes at Tennessee. That shows, him being able to win 7 games in the last 2 years. I think it shows the coach that he is.
Hmm.
And I think he's going to take this game very seriously. And, he's got guys from his Tennessee days as well, like Bud Dupree, like Jonnu Smith, to get up and get amped for
Michael
revenge.
Pruitt.
Michael Pruitt, yeah, and a couple others as well. Rip Tajay Sharp, but rip Corey Davis and Rashawn Evans. We couldn't bring them in. Maybe later this year. Maybe by this game we'll have Rashawn Evans and Corey Davis on the team, right? So that's the hope. But I have us at 5-3, meeting your standards right there at the halfway point. Uh-oh. It's the noon nightmare. We get
Mm-mm.
Kirk Cousins in the 1 o'clock hour, noon hour Minneapolis time. That sucks. I think this will be a tough game for us. But you have the floor first, sir. What do you have?
We have Minnesota coming into Atlanta. Um, who I think is the best receiver in the game right now, Justin Jefferson. Coming in. The Vikings, their defense is nothing about. Has been very been inconsistent lately. But their offense is like what really scares me with Madison. They have Jordan Addison, their rookie, coming this year, and I think he'd be a nice compliment with Justin Jefferson. They got KJ Osborne. Their offense is nice, and they TJ Hawkinson. They're, like I said, they have a really, really, really good offense. One of the top offenses in the league, but their defense, I don't see them helping them out too much. But I have this as a loss going to 5-4 because I think our defense will struggle with them. Our offense might have their way, might be a offensive shootout, but I have the Vikings topping us and us falling to 5-4.
I align with you on this one, especially because it is the noon hour, and as much of a joke it is, stats don't lie. Kirk Cousins plays much better in the noon hour than he does in prime time. And I think this is a world where that happens again. And I love how you mentioned KJ Osborne's a very good wide receiver three. They replaced Irv Smith with an upgrade and TJ Hawkinson, the Netflix series quarterback. I don't know if you saw it or not because Marcus Mariota was in it, so was Mahomes. Quarterback made me a very very big fan of Kirk Cousins. A very very big fan of Kirk Cousins. Really respect the guy. Really rooting for him. Probably not this Sunday, but I really became a huge fan of Kirk Cousins watching quarterback. Not gonna lie, and but yeah, like this offense is so good, and you know they have a couple years of experience on us. I mean, if it's a shootout, I hope it's not because our defense is inexperienced at that point, because we will be officially in the second half of the season. I do hope that our defense is a lot more gelled in Week 9 than it is per se Week 3 against Detroit. But I do see a world where the Vikings just overmatch us with their experience. They maybe do a little much, and I do think this will be a tough loss. And I agree with you. I have us falling to 5-4. Next one is a wild card here. Are we assuming that Kyler Murray is playing or not? For me, I don't think he plays at all this year. It makes sense for him not to. And even if he does come back, I don't know if it'll be this week, which is week 10. Do you think Kyler Murray plays this game? I say 80% chance no.
Yeah, I doubt. Seriously doubt, like you said, he plays this year. But the Falcons
Not
go
even
out
want to.
to yeah, the Falcons go out to the desert for this one. 4:05 Eastern time. Should be a pretty easy win for the Falcons. Um,
Yeah, funny enough, our primetime games are West Coast games this year. Our 4 o'clock primetime slot is when we go out west. Learn to respect us. Like I'm fine being slept on, but
they're gonna
continue.
end up flexing. They're gonna end up flexing the game, but yeah.
Yeah, they will.
We go out to the desert 4:05 game. Like I said, easy win for the Falcons. The Cardinals don't have much going for them. Um, Kyler Murray, like I said, I don't think he'd be playing at all this season. I think the Cardinals would be a team that's shooting to go for Caleb Williams and end up trading Kyler Murray for even more draft capital. But that's how I would play it out if I was the Cardinals. But yeah, Falcons go to 6-4.
Yeah, and this is the last game going into our bye week, so I think that's a good spot to be. Don't really have much else to say about that one. We'll talk about the prime flex comment in a little bit. But yeah, even if Kyler Murray plays, like he shouldn't be that much of an impact with especially the rough year he's had, before he got hurt. That he's the difference between the Falcons winning and losing this game. I think there'll be a lot of Falcons fans out there. Now, ironically, like the Falcons and Cardinals are two of the worst franchises of all time. A funny stat, Micah. It seems like whoever wins this game is the home team. Like the Cardinals have not beaten Atlanta at home since the days of Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And Atlanta has only won once or twice against the Cardinals out in the desert since before the turn of the century. So maybe this is the time, we did beat them last year, that we do find a way to win at our place and at theirs and start to maybe have more of a big brother ownership in this one, unlike, Washington has been, because it seems like in a similar spot where we just play them every year out of division. But that's right. I think I got us going into this game with a win. They should. And we both got them going into the bye week at 6-4. How do you like where they're at so far? How would you rate a 6-4 first half?
That's almost topping the amount of wins we had the previous. That's a pretty good start. Taking care of games that we need to take care of. And I think this is the point where the Falcons defense will really lock in and really gel and start reaching their real potential. And Desmond Ritter is how I expect him to play in the game where he don't have to show out every game. You know, B. John Robinson leading the league in rushing yards at this point. Kyle Pitts shutting up the haters and the doubters, and Drake London, being that receiver one that we all are looking for.
And since we're on the quote bye week, I'll ask you a bye week type question. Did you draft? And first of all, how many fantasy football leagues are you in this year? I know you're in one with myself, but how many in total are you in this year? I'm in four, I want to say.
I am in 3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in three, and I'm in a Yahoo league with some members of 92.9 The Game. So
Mhm.
excited. I did miss that draft, though. So that was unfortunate. I try to keep it on all ESPN, so I'm there, and they're all together, and they're easy to set. But I agreed to it because I'm like, I'm not passing up an opportunity to play with Mike Bell, Dylan Matthews, Bo Morgan, all our guys. And I got
Mhm.
in, and I missed the draft. Okay, draft, but that was like a oops. But my question for you is, being that we're on the bye week question for you. How many? We talked about the Falcons' weapons we had. I know we expect our defense to get better this year. I can't say I drafted our defense. I'm sure you didn't either in your three leagues. Too many moving pieces, and there's better defense out there as well as a realist. In your three leagues, which players did you pick up? Who'd you draft? Caw.
I've drafted one Falcons player and on 2 of my teams.
Oh, okay. Like
Drake
dang.
Drake Drake London. I really wanted Bijan Robinson, but in all 3 of the leagues, I believe he was taken first round, so I couldn't get him. And
I got him in
I had
one.
the yeah, I had him. I mean, I had the first pick in one of my drafts. I had like the eighth pick in another, and I had like the third pick in the other. So I got Justin Jefferson in 2 of my leagues as my first pick.
Yeah, the first one that I actually was able to attend was when I was out in Denver and my phone died when I was at that Rockies game. So I missed the first round. And I got back to the hotel for the start of the second round. So I got auto picked Devontae Adams. Not so happy about it because I don't know how he's going to do a Jimmy G. So maybe I'll flip him because Nick Chubb was on the board, Bijan was on the board, Tyreek was on the board. I probably would have taken one of those three names, but I ended up with Devontae Adams. My other two leagues, which I was fully present for, I got Bijan Robinson in the one I'm in as a commissioner with you, and I forget which one I took last night. I want to say I took Tyreek Hill. But as someone I always draft coup, especially the last couple of years because I knew we weren't going to score touchdowns. I knew we'd stall out and kick the football. And Koo has been very reliable. Whenever he does something, he does something. Whenever he does something good for the team, he does something for your boy. So I always take Koo. I still have him in all three of my leagues that I was present for at the draft this year. I got Bijan in a league. I have Drake and Tyler on the bench in one of my leagues. Didn't get a chance to get Kyle this year. If Cordero's available in one of my leagues, maybe I'll pick him up if he starts popping off. Because we'll see what his role is. We'll see how healthy he is. Um, didn't pick up Desmond, not gonna lie. Didn't pick up the defense, not gonna lie. But I do have Drake in one league, Tyler in one league in the same. I have Koo in all my leagues, -1, and I have Bijan in the league I am in with you.
Well,
It's a big league too. We got like a 16-team league. That'll be a tough one.
yeah. My question for you is, who's a Falcons player that you purposely stayed away from? Because for me, I drafted Kyle Pitts the past couple of years, and he got injured last year, and you
Hmm.
know, I purposely stayed away from him this year because I didn't want superstition, bad luck
Yeah,
on him. So
as a
maybe
Gators
you drafting
Falcons.
him has led to that. So I'm gonna stay
Yeah,
away.
as a Gators Falcons combo, I did draft him his first year in a league, and I think I had him last year. Now, granted, the league I had him in, I also had Hawkinson, so him being hurt didn't really hurt me too much. And maybe because I've drafted Kyle Pitts, it's taught me to draft two tight ends. Like I have Kittle and Fryermuth in a league. I have shoot. The league I was just mentioning with Bijan, I have two really good tight ends as well. My last league that I did last night, I really did want to try to get Kyle. And I was gonna take him with my next pick, but there's some Gators fans in my league, so they jumped me and took him.
Mhm.
I ended up with Kittle anyway. That's fine by me because, as you said, it's a little superstition. But I think if that was one, it would be one. I didn't try to avoid London. I just knew there was better options on the board um, there. But I did get him in one league. Cordero, I guess I avoided a little bit because I knew there was better running back depth because I don't know what his role is going to be yet. So I guess if I had to answer, it'd be Kyle. But I also did try to get him, and I was probably 3 picks away from getting him if a Gators fan didn't jump me for him. Um, and then, yeah, Cordero as well, but I'd be willing to add him on the waiver wire later in the year. You ready to talk some second half?
Let's go.
Well, what a doozy. I know you and I hope to both attend this game in person. This will be our first time meeting up. I'm excited for this one. So yeah, like as I mentioned a second ago, this is the game we hope to meet up at. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. This is what I'm asking for my birthday. I'm a Halloween baby for the most part. I want to get some tickets to this game. We have not beaten these guys at home in 5 years. This is the year to do it. That's why we're going to be in the house to see it, Micah. It's the Falcons and the New Orleans Saints coming off the bye. Ironically, they have their bye at the same time. I love how the NFL always sets it up this way. Last year, we played in week 1, of course, so we had a bye week before both of our matchups versus the Saints. Unfortunately, we lost them both. It can't go that way this year. I'm super pumped for this game. We'll be 6-4. They'll probably be around the same, maybe 5-5, maybe 7-3. Probably a very similar part in the standings as we are. This has to be a game we win, and that's why I want to be in the seats to send all those nasty people back home where they came from once and for all and prove that we're the real Mercedes. Maybe that's part of the reason we have lost him at home a lot, Micah. We took Mercedes-Benz from them. Whoops. But all jokes aside, tell me what's going on in this game, man. Screw the Saints. Urgh, they made me angry.
Um, well, the Saints went out this off season, went and got Derek Carr. Not going to talk about how Ricky already got suspended because he's using drugs, and I'm not going to talk about
Right
that.
on cue,
Yeah.
Saints. Right on cue.
Well, Alvin Kamara, is coming back. Came
Light
back a couple of weeks
suspension.
before from his
Light suspension. Should have been
suspension.
8+.
They went out and also got Jamal Williams in on free agency. I don't know if Mike Thomas will be playing at this point in the season. Chris Olave, Traycon Smith, Rashid Shaheed, have hurt us past couple of years. But like you said, this is a game that the Falcons need to win. We need to set the tone. And like I said earlier, we turn over a new leaf. It's a new team. This is Arthur's and Terry's team now. And I think we go out there and like I said, set the tone and beat them and show them that this is our division. And we back to New Orleans and show is where the Falcons play, where the Falcons fans would be, and we'll, we won't be hearing the Saints fans this year. So I got us going to 7-4.
I agree, man. This has to be the year. I mean, the Saints are already in cap hole as it is, so you spend $56 million on Derek Carr. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's just me though. Like that. This is the reason David Onyemata came over. That's why Kaden Ellis came over. That's why we post these guys to make it easier. But they also want to make that transition. They can help us. Maybe in a year or so, if what's his face stays healthy up in Minnesota, we sign him. I forget. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. That edge rusher who we almost signed, and we're like, no,
Smith.
he's got to be healthy first. Yeah, like I'm hoping to be at this game in person. I hope you're there with me. I think this will be an awesome experience to send those guys home. As you said, like I don't know if Michael Thomas is going to be playing at this point. I hope we really give Alvin Kamara living hell. I just can't believe he only got a 3-game suspension compared to what Ridley got with his gambling. It's befuddling to me. It really boils my blood. Maybe it's a little bit of my hatred for the Saints in general. I don't know who I hate more, if it's the New York Mets or the New Orleans Saints. It's pretty close, but I really don't like either team, and this has to be a game we win. It's why we brought some of the depth over. Like, I will give them respect. Like, they have owned the Falcons the last 15, 20 years. The all-time series is, I think, the Falcons only lead by 1, and it's because of a playoff win. So we have to find a way to win this game and start being able to beat these guys. Because if we want to take that next step and go from a 7-win team to a playoff team, you have to beat some of the teams you haven't been able to, like Washington, but more so New Orleans. And I know the fan base is craving for it. We're 2-8 against them the last 5 years. I want to say like 5-15, 6-14 the last decade. That's terrible, man. Like it has to flip, and I think this will be a huge game. I really, really hope we put a pounding to them. What about you, man? I gotta ask you a second time because I'm so hyped.
This like I'm saying, like this the game I'm most hyped for. This the game that I have that I'm have circle. We have to beat the Saints. Like I'm telling you, the fans got to be in that stadium. Hopefully, we in the stadium. Um, and we show, like I said, Mercedes Benz is where we play, where our fans at. All right, so at this point, we both have Falcons at 7-4, and then out to New York to face the New York Jets, the new. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers got traded this offseason to the Jets. They went out and made a moves. They added Dalvin Cook and pretty good running back room. Tall and Michael Carter already out. Um, they added pieces with the receivers. Though Corey Davis retired, they added Randall Cobb, one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets. They added McCall Hartman. They added Alan Lazard, another player that was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And they had coming on his second year. Um, Jets have a this year, and Jets fans finally have them to look forward to. Um, and yeah, I had this as loss coming up the week before after beating the Saints. And I have us going to 7-5 with the Jets defense being one of the top defenses in the league.
I think this will be a tough task as well. I agree. I have this as a loss first week of December up in the Meadowlands. It should be tough. The last couple of meetings we've had with both the New Jersey teams, New York, if we're talking, generically. It's been in the early season, so it's not been cold, but this could be a tough position for the Falcons. Some of the games they have late in the season on the road or in dome stadiums. So I think this will be a chilly game. I do expect the Jets to be better this year than the Broncos were last year. Hopefully they are as an NFL fan because we have to watch them so many times. Two things I find interesting about the team is there's so many weapons that Aaron Rodgers, quote, didn't like working with in Green Bay, but he brings them with him to New York. I don't know. Corey Davis is retired for now until we get our hands on him. You know that. And the last thing, I'm really surprised talking about the Vikings earlier, how they cut Dalvin Cook after 4 years of Pro Bowl, even though he really wasn't that bad last year, to really up with Alex Madison. He wasn't, I don't think I don't think Dalvin Cook's contract was even that expensive anyway, and he waits all that time just to sign with the Jets. So a lot of moving parts with this team. But yeah, I really respect Robert Salah, what he's done with the defense. I really think even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't take him to the promised land, he probably won't. He's probably there for a year or two, enough time to get them another quarterback or for Zach Wilson to grow into their quarterback in his second leg. But I think this will be a tough game. I do think that the Jets will be better this year than the Giants. Hot take. And so I think we'll be facing the better New York team. And because the Braves beat the Mets so much, we got to be nice and let the Jets get the Falcons at least once. And I think we have us falling to 7-5.
We still in New York though.
Oh yeah, of course. If you guys haven't seen that clip out, go give it a listen. But coming back to Atlanta here, one of the last home games of the year, the second to last it shows, so the penultimate one, matching up our first time in a repeat game with the division. I like that they're all at the end. It will make the games matter a lot more. And if the division's weak, it means the end of the schedule, as you mentioned earlier, isn't as hard as you thought. Second round with the Bucks. Again, don't know who the quarterback will be, but this time we're at the Benz at the crib. Played them last year. We beat them. Do the Falcons sweep, Micah?
Absolutely. Like you said,
Really?
don't know. Yep. I
Last
don't
time we did
know.
this, you said otherwise. What changed?
Baker. and don't know if he's playing or Trask. I guess uncertainty, and what also changes, Mike Evans, you know, who says he's going to be playing, who says he's not going to be holding out, or who says he's not going to be traded. And same thing with Chris Godwin. He's had injury problems lately, or the past season. Um, um, he's getting older, have injury, and Ryan Jensen, it's a whole bunch of uncertainty in Tampa Bay. So I have this as a Falcon sweep.
I agree, and I'm glad to see you've come on the other side. I know for a while you were thinking this is your trap game, kind of like how I have Washington. But yeah, who knows? I mean, this is the team the Falcons have to sweep, and if they do, they handle business. They're 8-5. Like that's awesome. That's awesome, man. We haven't been 8-5 since 2016, even 2017. I don't even think we got to that record. So that would be an amazing feature for us, and I hope that's the case. And that's where I have us, handling business. They got to be able to sweep the Bucks. We talked about them once. I don't think there's much else to say. Now this second matchup, I think there's maybe a little bit more to think about, being that it'll be week 15 and not week 1. I think this could be a potential game that could get flexed to a Monday night or one of those Saturday games after college season ends, or even a Thursday night. I could see this being one of the games flexed to prime time. I'm sure you might agree. This might be a colder one too out in the Carolinas. It's round 2 with the Panthers. Again, we're both at 8-5. Does Micah's Falcons go to 9-5? Let me know.
Like in previous before this, and we talked about, you see how I changed from the Buccaneers being a trap game. I've now made this game the trap game. Um, Bryce Young starting to learn more, get more comfortable playing in the NFL, finding his way. You know, the Panthers may get healthy around time, try to make a late push. Brian Burns got in his contract at this point. And the Panthers are also, like you said earlier, they're 1 year behind us, and they're trying to build to get back into the playoffs, and they're building something nice in Carolina right now. And I see the Falcons taking this game, this being a trap game. So I have us losing this one to 8-6.
I'm agreeing with you at this pace. As we said earlier, I think the Falcons are probably a year ahead of where the Panthers are, and we've kind of split with them in recent memory. Bryce Young's going to look like a completely different quarterback this Sunday, at least we think, than he will in this most recent one that we'll see in 72 hours. But I will say, if the Falcons do drop this game, Micah, and they do lose week 1, we got to win this game. This one is the most win one. But in our world, we both have us winning week 1, so I think it's going to be okay if we don't end up winning this game. So yes, I have us dropping this game as well and having us falling to 8-6 with 3 games remaining. But one of them against another rookie quarterback. So that'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough one to swallow. Only 3 games left. This is the last home game of the season. It's against Anthony Richardson. Who knows where he is at this point in the season, if he looks good, if he's dead because of the terrible line and no Jonathan Taylor, and maybe Michael Pittman just decides, you know what, I want out. Who knows? Jim Irsay is running that organization into a ground quick. Sorry that Matt was part of that dumpster fire last year. I'm really, really sorry about that, buddy. But yeah, take me through where you have the 8-6 Falcons doing on this mid-December afternoon. Big game.
Well, we're in week 17, day before Christmas. We're facing the Colts. I was talking to Blake before we started the show. If Matt Ryan, played good, we could be playing Matt Ryan at the bench this time. But Blake is pretty, happy that we're not having to play against Matt Ryan. But like Blake said, who knows if if Anthony Richardson, is playing at this point. I hope he stays healthy though. I hope he the coach, like you said, Jim Irsay is running this organization, doing the Gator Chalk. Go Dogs. Well, yeah. Anyways, and Jim Irsay is running this organization, and he's not doing a pretty good job. He has a franchise running back, and he, um, you know, talking publicly and messing things up. He started with the draft when he wanted tweeted something about drafting Levis after drafting Anthony Richardson. Then he went to talk about how couldn't be paid and stuff, and that Robert Johnson Taylor the wrong way. Now they put him on the what you call it, NFL reserve list, where he can't play the first 4 weeks
The
of
the
the
pup list,
yeah
unable to
the
play.
where he's not able to play the first 4 weeks of the season, and he's doing a pretty bad job of running the organization. But talking about game, easy win. Putting the Falcons 6.
I do think we win this game, but I don't think it'll be without its scares. I think Anthony Richardson will be something we haven't seen at all this year, being that he's a rookie as well. I'm going with the latter half, and I think he'll be coming towards the end of his rookie season, and not like a Trevor Lawrence rookie season where it's just so much going on. He's struggling from it. And I do think we win this game, but I think it'll be a scary one. And I think we'll be like, oh shoot, we can't fall to 8-7, 9-6, and sorry, I just my nose. 8-6. Hold on. 8-7 and 9-6 is a huge difference. We have to win this game. I think it'll be a close one, but I'm trusting the newfound depth and talent of this team being gelled and outperforming a disastrous organization at the moment that is no longer the Atlanta Falcons position. I think we win this one to go to 9-6 and have a huge probable snowball coming up on New Year's Eve. You talked about Christmas Eve. Flash forward a week in advance. We see Justin Fields. Who knows if he's even playing at this point? Because who knows, he could be hurt too. The Bears could be a disappointment. I don't know. For what, the NFC is so wide open. Hopefully, we're the one that's in that conversation. New Year's Eve, Falcons, Bears. It was a good game last year, but now in Soldier Field. Take me through your thoughts.
The Falcons are going out to Chicago to face the Bears. Chicago is looking to start their road back to the playoffs this year. Trading the number one pick to Carolina to get DJ Moore in return. They lost David Montgomery and they picked up Dante Foreman, also from Carolina. They also got Travis Homer from Seattle. They have Roschon Johnson still there. They have a pretty good run. Justin Fields has been talking a lot this offseason about what he's going to do this year in the passing game, and I'm looking forward to it. If he's able to back up his talk. He has a fan in me. He has a pretty good receiver room too, and Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, St. Brown. They have a pretty good running back room. Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, pretty good receiving room.
Cole Clement.
But they have the Bears. I think this will be a win for us. A scare. It's going to be a scare, but I think we'll win this game, and we'll go to 10-6.
This is definitely the best Bears offense we've seen in probably 7+ years. Being what Matt Nagy did with them, and this, Justin Fields has the potential to be the best Bears quarterback in 50 years. As you said, I really do like this wide receiver room. I'm glad DJ Moore's out of the division. I like that. I mean, Chase Claypool has the flash. Maybe he's better suited as a wide receiver 3. That's probably his best fit so far with Cole Clement, with Darnell Mooney, with St. Brown, couple good running backs. They drafted a tackle. They'll probably need to add more to the offensive line. It'll need to progress with Justin if they want things to go well this season. Um, and that's ironic because the Bears have kind of been defensive heavy the last couple years. It's all flipped on his head, and they hired a defensive head coach. But meanwhile, Matt Nagy was an offensive mastermind, scoring 10 points a game. So it's just another one of those franchises where it's just like, huh? We'll see if they were able to slaughter their dragon this weekend, and that's the Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. I think I have the Bears winning that game Sunday. I'm talking about, but I would not be surprised if the Bears went into Soldier Field and won. It's one of my lower picks on my pick'ems. So we'll see. But regarding our game, as you said, it's going to be a New Year's Eve game. It's probably going to be a snowball. It's probably going to be snowing up in Chicago, and now that we've had the experience playing in New York, played in a probably cold Carolina game. I think the Falcons were able to weather the storm, no pun intended, and I think we run the damn football through the bad Bears front seven. It neutralizes their ability to be able to use DJ Moore, to be able to use Cole Clement, to be able to use their weapons that they have, and Justin Fields is only going to be able to do so much. Likewise, it probably neutralize some of our guys like Drake London and Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, but with Tyler Algier, with Cordero Patterson, with Bijan Robinson, I think by this point in the year, Godwin's going to be back on the roster. Those four guys are going to lead us to a New Year's Eve hard, old school snow victory for the Falcons. We get to double digits and get to 10-6 on the year before our last game of the season. It'll be a tough one, but I think this will be a very, very hard-fought win. I think this is more of your scare game. Mine is more of the Colts game. But I think we find a way to win back-to-back after that trap loss that could be flexed from the Panthers and get ourselves to 10-6. We've aligned so far. Now it's a big one coming up at the end of the year. It's the Saints again. It's in New Orleans this time. This will probably, if I had to assume, this is going to be flexed to a 4 o'clock Sunday. Maybe even a Sunday night. Maybe even a Monday night. This game's going to get flexed. Will this game be a win-and-in situation? And for which teams? Before we get to know your pick, where will the Saints be sitting at this point, and how meaningful will this game be for both sides, regardless of rivalry?
Well, at this point in the season, I could see the Saints being at 9-8. I could see them being at 10-7. It's gonna it's gonna be a whole bunch of things, playoff implications at this point in the season, and hopefully right side of it going into this final game. We played the 7th in January, first game of 2024 for the Falcons. Also, like you said, it could be a flex game, but I have the Falcons splitting with the Saints this year and losing this game, going to 10-7 on the year. And like you said, doesn't get flexing. It's a 1 o'clock game on the Sunday, but hopefully they're at where we could tie with them in the division, and hopefully like I said, we're on the right side of the playoff implications where we go into the playoffs, or who knows, but there could be a world where both the Falcons and the Saints manage to make it into the playoffs. But I had the Falcons finishing the season at 10-7.
How much of a heartbreaker will this game be?
It'll be pretty tough, especially if this game knocks us out of the playoffs.
That's fair. That's where I'm hoping. The Saints either turn into a pumpkin again, or it's a meaningless game where we're in regardless. I do think there's a world where there's two teams from the NFC South that do make it in. I think that the NFC North is also bad, and the NFC West is only two teams. Where I do think there's a world where the NFC South does get two teams in. I don't know if it's going to be Carolina and New Orleans, if it's going to be us in New Orleans and Carolina. I don't know. I hope it's not that latter one. But I do think two NFC South teams get in. I do think because I do also have us losing this game in a heartbreaker. I hope it's not a blowout. I hope it's not like but I can't trust the Falcons to beat the Saints twice in the same season. But if we're gonna split with them, I'd rather it be at home, honestly and truly. So I have us splitting, the home games with New Orleans and Carolina, and sweeping Tampa Bay, finishing 10-7. Go ahead.
My question for you in this game, since you said it's going to be a heartbreaker, would you rather it be a blowout or Saints go down and kick a field goal to win?
I think as a Falcons fan, I've learned I'd rather get blown out than lose at the end because at least I know I lost.
Hmm.
Now, if you ask me that question, knowing the division's on the line, I don't know. I think both would hurt. I think in that case, I'd rather it be a field goal because that way I know that we still had a chance. But if this is just your generic Falcon Saints game, I'd rather get blown out and be like, yeah, yeah, they're just still better than us than us getting ripped out at the end like week 1 last year. But I really hope that this team still finds a way in the division. I hope they prove me wrong with this game. And I hope that even if we're in the wild card, we're still that 5 or 6 seed, maybe even the 7. Maybe I don't know if the NFC has 3 teams make the playoffs at 10 or more wins. I think there'll definitely be at least an under 500 team get in. But I really do think that 10-7, even if you don't win the division, is good enough to make the playoffs. And it's an unfortunate split. But moving into one of our last conversations, we both have them at 10-7. We were pretty much identical throughout the season. Um, do your 10-7 Falcons make the playoffs, Micah? And are they NFC South Division champions?
As a fan, I say I say yes. Um,
Yes to the playoffs.
to the playoffs and yes to be in the division. Um, yeah, it could go. There between us and the Saints. I see the Panthers being close behind, but I don't see them being too much of a threat at this point. Earlier, before the Saints went out and got Derek Carr, I had the Panthers being the team we was going back and forth with. But now that they got Derek Carr, I see this being the Saints and Falcons toss up for the division. But this again the Falcons into the playoffs.
For me, I agree. I think 10-7 gets us into the playoffs. It should. In the NFC, it really should. It might even win us the division. But just for disagreement's sake, I don't think it wins us the division. A couple months ago, I thought the same way. And hell, I knew the Saints were going to go get Derek Carr. I knew with all the cap hell, I knew they were still going to get him. And I know that the Panthers will probably be a good team. I don't think they're going to be a playoff level team, but they are going to be a team that's in the mix every game, kind of like we were last year. And I think the Bucks will be a little bit better than people think too, because they still have most of their pieces. If none of them buy out and just become pissy wissies, I think the Bucks will probably win 6 games and be out of the quarterback sweepstakes. And you win 6 games in a bad division, you're usually at least a competitive bunch, especially a team that has a core that won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. So I don't think it wins the division, which sucks because a couple months ago I had NFC South champions on my Twitter name before I changed it to professional bogey hater. Whoops. But that's gone now as well. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I do think 10-7 still gets us in, probably the 6th seed. Maybe it gets us a rematch with probably the winner of the NFC North, if I had to guess, and a second chance with the Bears or Vikings. Maybe we beat them. But that was our Falcons season predictions. We're probably around the 2-hour mark for the show. Do you have anything else you want to add about the Falcons, man?
So
And guys, only a couple topics to cover the rest of the evening, probably 5 minutes or less. First one, Hawks 2K ratings came out. I don't. Me and Micah, you and I probably don't play 2K like we used to. Part of it is the game just fell off when it went to next gen. You can't shoot like you used to. You shouldn't have to be a sweater to be able to make a shot. You shouldn't have to green. That's an argument for another day. All I know is it's just like the Madden popularity contest. It triggers hate towards certain players. Trae Young is in it at 89 overall. He's been like that the last 3 years. I understand he could have been a little bit better last year with his efficiencies. He still averaged 26 and 10. I know he wasn't an all-star. I get it. I get he could be a diva. But some of this stuff that the coach killer, nobody likes playing with him stuff, spawns from his 2K rating. There is no reason Trae Young should not at least be a 90. He was a 90 overall in 2K20, and then he's come back to like an 88 and kind of been stuck there the last 2 years. What the hell? Just like real quick, 60 seconds, Michael. What were your thoughts on Trey's rating and even Dejounte being an 84, a guy we extended and paid 3 first-round picks for? Like, huh? Go ahead.
I I honestly think a narrative is trying to be pushed because um I don't see a world where a player is averaging 26 and 10 and getting his team to the playoffs and winning games and um you know being the being one of the young stars in the league that's pushing towards being the face of the league soon, being an 89. They got players like Tyrese Halliburton that they try to say is better. They got players like Jalen Brunson that they try to say is better. I haven't seen their ratings, um, but
SGA as well.
yeah, I've seen Tyrese Halliburton. He's at 88, and Trey Young's at 89, and it's like that's
What?
crazy. You telling me that that better than Tyrese Halliburton?
Because
That
apparently
that's
he's
that's
he's not a shot chucker on a bad team, but Trey is. When Trey was in the same rebuild, same part of the rebuild the Pacers were. Good grief. Go ahead.
that just baffles me, and um, I don't think they put the Knicks out yet for me to check Jalen Brunson, but that's crazy. And for Dejounte Murray, the off year last year, so um, I personally think he should be at least at 86, but I could see their thought process on that one with him having, like I said, you could say he had an off year last year, but Trey Young should no in no world be under 90 overall.
And yeah, like some of the other ones, bogeys may be a little low, but also like the Hawks have just been low on their expectations the last couple of years. DeAndre Hunter in 80 is a little shocking to me. I think they also gave Patty Mills a little bit of love. So maybe for the 2K game, Micah, we got a little bit of backup point guard run we can get in. But yeah, I mean, by the end of the year, I mean, people always fluctuate, but I mean, most people usually hop on and play my team or my park anyway, and those are your own, your own characters. But just it starts with the popularity contest. It starts with the narratives you're trying to push. So it's unfortunate, but like granted, the Hawks didn't do a lot this offseason to make us, believe still. So they still got a little bit of time to make the move. The moves we were talking about in the original podcast doesn't look like it's going to happen. So that sucks. That's for the Hawks. Quick one on the Atlanta United update, guys. They have played 4 games since the international break has come to an end. They are 2-1-1 in those matches. A 2-0 victory over the Seattle Sounders on the 20th. A 4-0 victory at the hand of Nashville FC on the 26th. I came home from Denver the night they barely lost to Cincinnati. 2-1 at the very end, and they had a really good battle with Dallas. I got to watch that game on Saturday after some of the college football games before the Braves came on, and they ended up in a 2-2 draw. They play Messi again on the 16th, so a bye week it looks like before Messi comes to town on the 16th. That might be a packed out game, so hopefully it's packed in between the Panthers and the Packers games in the Bends. Messi a hot ticket. Hopefully Atlanta United at least finds a way to beat him once this year. I think they're 0-2 since he's come over here, but I mean, they've looked better. I mean, in the standing, it shows that we are sixth in the table. So as of right now, we are a playoff team at 42 points. Nashville at 40. Montreal and DC, I think, are the first ones out. I think that's how it works at 35 and 33. So right now, Atlanta United is paced to make the playoffs, and they are right there with Columbus and Philadelphia at 45 and 46 points, which I don't know if you know, Micah, a win in soccer is 3, a draw is 1. A loss is nothing, as of course, but Cincinnati's really ran away with it. So that's not really a tough loss. 57 points. New England 47. Orlando City, our rival, who we owned our first couple years in existence. It's kind of gone back and forth since then. They're sitting there at 47 points, but Atlanta has 11 wins, 9 draws, 8 losses on the season. They have kind of been a lot of Falcon like, so maybe they're taking that pixie dust away, where Brad Guzan's old self is not able to keep them at a goal at the very end. But as of right now, it looks like Atlanta United is probably going to make the playoffs, and they've looked a lot better since the international break. Maybe it's helped them, but I still think they probably move out the way with Frank DeBoer and just find another manager that was maybe under the Tata Martino tree when they first became a club, and get back to their ways. But do you hope Atlanta United makes the playoffs, Micah? Because of course, another team did. So
Yes, sir.
2-part question. Floor is yours.
I'm absolutely hoping, the Atlanta United makes the playoffs. It's just gonna be another team added to the Atlanta success lately. All these
If they
teams
do,
getting
we're
back to the
watching the
playoffs.
games.
Yep.
I've watched them more than you have this year, but if they make the playoffs, I know we'll definitely be watching.
Yeah. But like the Benner say, the Dream are postseason bound with 2 games left in the season. The Dream are back in the playoffs for the first time since 2018. They're led by their 3 All-Stars, Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, and Cheyenne Parker. Um, like I said, Atlanta sports are back on the rise. Our teams are getting
Finally,
back to the
man,
playoffs.
20 years.
Yep, our teams getting back to the playoffs, and it's just we've just been enjoying watching our teams, and um like I said in the previous episodes, that the Dream are coming out of their rebuild, and they went out and traded for Alicia Gray this year, and she's been a bright spot for this team, and the vibes have been amazing around the team with Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, and Naz Hillman. And they're starting to build Trey Young. And Ryan Howard are building a nice little camaraderie. Trae Young's going to their games there. Ryan Howard saying she's gonna show up at Hawks games, and
Good, good, good,
I
good.
love seeing the support around Atlanta with the different teams in the city. Going
I
out and
really do love
supporting.
that too. Yeah. Yep. You see Braves going to the Hawks playoffs. You see the Hawks going to the Braves playoffs. You see Kyle pulling up on Gucci Row at the Hawk at
Hmm.
the Hawks games. You see Trey Young hammering the spike at the Falcons games. You see when Dansby was a Brave, and you see other Braves, doing the horn for the Falcons. As you said, I really do love that the teams, and I think maybe that's part of why this success has come back. The fan bases have been able to bond more together, and we're more on the upswing because the teams support each other. I think that's an undervalued thing. Yeah.
Yep.
But good to hear for them. I know they got a couple games in the regular season left. Um, do you have any other final points on this show tonight?
Um, just ready for that Falcons game, man. Week
Oh yeah.
one starts Sunday.
And yeah, guys, we really appreciate it. This should be up probably at some point on Saturday the 9th. Hopefully you guys get to it early, because I know we are talking a lot about a Sunday game and games happening Saturday. So try not to be a couple days late. I mean, if you're watching and you guys at this point, this isn't for you. We really appreciate your support, though. We talked everything tonight, Micah. The only things we didn't talk about was Georgia and Georgia Tech basketball. That's it. I mean, I guess we maybe left a little love out for the Stripers and the Gladiators. We'll talk about the Gladiators more in the winter. We'll get Connor on here and we'll talk some Atlanta Gladiators hockey. During that time, we'll talk more Georgia and Georgia Tech basketball as well. But guys, we covered Jackets, we covered Bulldogs, we covered Braves, we covered a lot of Falcons. We even covered the Hawks and the United too. Got your dream update in there. This is around the A, man. Like, we talk about it all. I know it's a majority Braves, Falcons, Hawks, but we mentioned the United. We get the dream in. We get the college teams, multiple sports love. We even mentioned the Stripers and the Gladiators when necessary. Georgia Swarm, hello. But yeah, just to throw their name out there. Really appreciate it. I'm sure the episode will probably end up being about 2 hours and a couple minutes. We promise the episodes will get shorter soon, guys. Give us some more experience. When we become weekly, there'll be less to talk about. There'll be less things for us to go over, less hurdles to jump. The 2 hour episodes will not be a thing forever, but we're just trying to cover as much as we can. But yeah, Mike, any last thing to say to the viewers?
Rise up, stay true to Atlanta.
And chop on. We'll see you guys the next one. Enjoy your weekends. Let's go, Dirty Birds, baby, and
Yes,
Braves.
sir.
Let's go win this freaking division, right? Hawks. I don't even know what you're doing, but keep staying true.